Hello, Cobra Kai fans. Welcome back to Cobra Kai Nation. It's been a while since I had my brother, the chosen one, Jacob.
No, thank you for coming back on,
man.
Yeah. Hello there.
Hello there. Yes, it's been a while. I mean, me and Jacob last did a specific Miguel and Robby discussion on the channel 2 years ago, and this was just after season 4 had come out. And I remember we spoke a lot about you know, what we wanted to see with season 5, and we basically what we were saying happened, and sort of our ideas and where they're going with the characters. So
wasn't it just so gratifying to see it unfold like that?
It was, because of the you know, the way they, you know, put this shit aside, and you know, they came together and embraced each other for once in like a positive way, and didn't let anyone get in their way.
No dramas, just
right. And you know, this part 1, this is the first time we've seen them, you know, really work together. But obviously there was some tension with, you know, the captain stuff, and obviously the personal stakes for both of them. But yeah, in this stream today, for you that are wondering, we're gonna give our own perspectives of a Miguel and Robby preview. So we're gonna discuss that. We're gonna talk about what we've seen in part 1 going into part 2, you know, our previews on the tournament, and obviously we'll take your questions. Any specific questions, me and Jacob will go through that together. Try and keep it specific to Miguel and Robby if you can, because that will be the point of the stream. But
that was what was so great about the last one, is it just, you know, I think, and I'm not saying this from a place of ego, like we've had many conversations about this, we were the first two, and probably the only two, to say these two are going to be put on the same page. And everyone was like, no, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen.
I remember. Yeah.
And then everyone, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, oh, I love their dynamic. I love their brotherhood.
See, I feel like it was... I don't understand why people that like one or the other always thought they were going to just not ever, like, be on the same page. Some people were complaining. I read a few things that people were complaining that Miguel and Robby were like too buddy like after season 5. I'm like, how are they buddy? Like, it's like a mutual respect thing.
I had someone say that in my stream, and my response to that is, it's Miguel and Robby's dynamic is not like Miguel and Hawk. It's not like Hawk and Dimitri. It's not like they're like, you know, hey, yeah, and the analogy I gave was slapping towels, you know, in the change room. Like it's not that dynamic. They have more of a mutual respect dynamic between each other. It's what two fighters have when they go to the ends of the earth together. And if anyone's a DBZ fan in the audience, it's Goku and Vegeta. It always has been. You know, that they'll always push each other to keep each other on top. What the other one doesn't have, the other one does have. It's a yin and yang.
I love that analogy.
They're so crucial together for this tournament.
Exactly, especially with the big tournament coming up. I just want to give a shout out to some people in the stream. Our brother in arms, Strike First Media. What's going on? Yeah, just want to preface this: if you post anything, leaks, anything you've seen, you will be kicked out or you'll be banned, because I'm not having any of that. Because
regardless if half of them are real or fake, like that's irrelevant.
Exactly. Just please don't do that.
Don't spoil it.
TCK, what's happening, brother? No, be there leaks. Exactly. You know. Oh wow. Hey, it's not actually his fault.
Look at him go. Look at him.
It was my fault. I was running a bit slow. I was running a bit slow now, so cut him some slack there. Let's not talk about Geek Week.
Yeah, we don't talk about Geek. Yeah, how about Geek Week, Noah?
Noah, you got a crack out of that, right? You're the biggest fan of Geek Week. I know that for sure. So yeah, I keep seeing these questions about, you know, Miguel and Robby, but like, okay, let's start with, okay, so Miguel and Robby in part 1. It's very clear that both really competitive, and they're taking this tournament seriously. You know, Miguel feels that it's such a big thing for him with college. There's some personal stakes with his family, I believe, but they haven't really gone into that. And then Robby's pretty much feeling that prior tournaments he hasn't lived up to his potential. And you know, this is the first time Robby is fighting 4 not against people.
Yep.
And I think that's
It's
such
different for him.
it's such a big one for him. And I genuinely feel like his motivations are right this time, like out of the other
like
seasons.
any of the other seasons, and I've said this a lot, is one thing that Cobra Kai is so good at, and this is why I get annoyed when everyone says like, "Oh, this person's better than that person." It's not a video game. It's the Karate Kid mythology, and like you know this from watching the original trilogy. It's more about balance, headspace, dynamic. You know what you're, and then they emphasize that when you have Chosen and Daniel giving context to things. So having situations where Robbie now has something to fight for instead of going against someone for once is quite refreshing. And then also having him in this role where he's now not just responsible for a little protege in Kenny, he's responsible for his whole team. Like what does that entail? What does that weight add on to him? And even though, let's say, Captain America is the leader of the Avengers, he falls back onto Iron Man or whoever else to step in and balance things out because no one person can do it alone. So the great thing up until this point is Miguel and Robbie have been so separate for so long. They're so used to being the leading man wherever they are. Now they've got each other. It's an adjustment knowing that you have someone on the same page as you that could fill your spot if you weren't in the right headspace. So I think exploring that dynamic and knowing what we know from part one, just based on part one going into part two, there's going to be moments of conversation where it's like, they're challenging Robbie's decisions. They're challenging, is your head in it? Are you focused? Things like that. And then, of course, maybe Miguel would have to step in for a little bit just so Robbie can sort all the emotional baggage out while he focuses on other stuff. I love that. I love that, that dynamic that we've got that now. It's great.
I think that's the most important thing people need to remember is that because they have each other now, it's going to be a new thing for them. It's a new dynamic. Season 5 was, we've said it before, it's about reconciliation, characters finally coming together, understanding each other like they never have before. Miguel, Robbie, Sam, and Tori really needed that out of any of the kids.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel that it's so important for them to be like the leading tools going into this tournament, which they are for the males and the females. And with Miguel and Robbie, it's like, it's not like The Rock and Vin Diesel, but you're having two natural leaders that feel responsible for the others.
They're so used to being in that leadership role. How does one accept that you can have another person to balance you out? Especially, I was saying this to the lads the other day. Shout out to them. I know they're watching. The thing is with Robbie, I'm sure Miguel can attest to this too. Robbie has always been the solo leading guy wherever he is. He hasn't had a Hawk to back him up. He hasn't had until Kenny came up. He was just alone. Every time there's a tournament, he has no secondary Hawk guy. He's always the leading guy. And then in season 4, they did that with Miguel, where he was pretty much the solo guy in his own dojo. You had Devon or whatever, but he was just the leading man. He had no Hawk to fall back on.
He was really the only guy that could really win it for them. And then there was that pressure there. And I think with this tournament now, because all the kids are on the same page, it's going to be interesting because Miguel and Robbie, when they fought for this captain spot, obviously they both have their motivations for it. And Robbie won fair and square with that. And I know Miguel was disappointed with that. But
it's not the end of his life.
What matters is how they help each other in the tournament. It doesn't matter if Miguel was captain and Robbie wasn't. And if Robbie is and
we're focusing on the wrong thing.
If people really go just based off that, like who deserves it and stuff, like realistically, it doesn't matter.
You could whittle it down to anyone.
It's a team-based tournament, so you can't fixate on, it's just you got these captains here. Like, I don't mind who became captain as long as they just work together in the tournament, and that's
absolutely. And the thing is, Robbie may be captain and he's in the captain spot, but I know we've had many conversations about this, but something I really want to implore to people, the reason why my POV is the way it is because just because Robbie has the captain's headband, what was Daniel say? If they make it that far, they can only go so far if they don't have Miguel and Hawk in lock. If they don't have those guys in lock, they're not getting to the final. Forget Robbie being captain. Means nothing if they don't have Miguel and Hawk putting in the work.
And
especially Miguel. With all the stakes we know with what's going on with him.
Yeah, I think
Prime Miguel's coming back.
the whole thing as well with this tournament, we don't know all the rules yet. We know vaguely, I think, in part 1, I think it's the end of episode 3 or 4, when Gunter says about, you know, it's going to be in Barcelona and all this stuff with how the tournament's going to go, because there's individual stuff, but there's a lot of team-based competitions in it. So
yes,
you know, how does that affect the rankings? Is it like, I'm guessing the team stuff is gonna be so important to the captains. So
yeah, it will.
Like you said, if Miguel and Hawk and the other guys in Miyagi-Do aren't performing in the team-based competition,
then they're not getting anywhere.
Yeah, and Robbie's also going to be included in that, and Sam, because they can be involved in that. But if they're not helping those two for the individual contests, they're not going to get there.
Then forget the captaincy. It doesn't matter who has the captain's headband. If they don't perform in the games and the skill games and the team-based events leading up to it, I'm you know, reaching for the stars here, but with it being like the Karate Olympics, as we've all called it, you know, if it's a team-based thing, then if they don't perform, then forget the captain's fight. They're not going to even make it that far, you know, and they're going to be going up against the world's best. Like, they need to be on job.
I think that is such a big thing. Like, that if they haven't got the synergy, they are not going to last very long in this tournament. And they can't have issues crop up. But I will ask you this, Jacob.
Shoot.
The end of part 1, Tori joining Cobra Kai. We know Robbie's locked in. Miguel looks locked in. Like the boys do, and
Miguel's face expression is funny in that scene. So he looks more angry than
he looked more pissed than Robbie. He was like
Robbie looks heartbroken. Sam's like, oh no, and Miguel's like,
yeah, he looks so bad. And I think here's what I'm worried about though, because whenever Robbie sees someone in Cobra Kai that's being hurt, like it was Kenny in season 4,
throws him off.
It throws him off. So are you a little bit concerned that at the earlier stages it might throw off Robbie a little bit? Because with Tori, I think it might do a little bit.
At the start, yes. I think, you know, the way I had it pegged for, like, I'd say majority of the tournament, you know, the second half, I'd say Robbie's locked in. Like, in the second half,
he'll get his momentum.
He's focused, he'll get that momentum. And it will call back to season 1 when Daniel had that conversation with him, you know, about being focused. Don't tune out all distractions. You don't need anyone but yourself, just yourself. Then Robbie will lock in. And then Robbie will finally adapt and basically go, you know what? I don't need to rely on anyone else. I can rely on myself. And that's something that has always been a crux of him the whole show. Whenever someone does something, it throws him off completely. But for the first half, I guarantee you, Miguel's stepping in. Just because I feel like he's going to make decisions. People are going to get hurt. And he's going to feel like that's on him. He's not going to be able to focus with Tori being over there. Quan's going to start messing with his head.
100%.
You know, and being, you know, just an edgy, broody beat. But, you know, I feel like that's where we test the dynamic of Miguel and Robbie in that specific moment, because then you know that Robbie can go and deal with what he needs to. Then he comes back, and then ultimately Miguel will be dealing with what he needs to, and then he can bounce to Robbie. Then there's the yin and yang, because throughout the whole show, they have constantly had to deal with things alone. Like, they've got Hawk, they've got Johnny, whatever. But they've got such a specific character ingredient. And this is why I love this show to death. You don't get characters like Robbie often. You really don't. You get like your Miguel, your Hawks. You don't get ones like Robbie where they can balance the other guy out and then Miguel can balance off of him. And that dynamic and the emphasis of them working together, I'm looking forward to it. It's one of the best things about the show for me. Just the dynamic of the two of them.
I think with Miguel, I feel like if Robbie is,
there's no better person to take over.
If he is like, you know, off balance at first, I feel like we've never really seen this, but I think Miguel needs to be the one that comes straight to him. Like, you're the captain. What are you doing? Like, I feel like Miguel's going to be that locked in. If Robbie's not doing his job as the captain, I think he's going to be the first one to hold him to that. And I don't think it's going to be spiteful, but I think...
No, it's pushing him.
I think Miguel will be, like, pissed at first, but I can imagine Miguel going, look, bro,
Sort it
you're
out.
leading us. You're the captain. You've
Mhm.
got to like,
Yeah,
you've got to do your thing, and we've got your back. And
dude,
I
I
feel
so
like
desperately want a
I
scene of
would
them
love
doing
that.
that.
I would love a scene like that, dude, because we haven't had that before.
Just a
And
scene of them two doing that, man. I would so love that so much. Oh god, I would love
dude,
that.
it's so Rocky Apollo as well. I
It
would be
is.
so over
It
the moon.
really is. It's like your greatest rival telling you to get you together, you know? It's such a beautiful scene. And it's the last person you'd expect it from, especially with the way the captain's fight played out and everything that led up to that, you know, just showing the growth of these characters, you know,
Yeah,
pushing each other. And then you've got Miguel that's going to be dealing with his stuff alternatively, them going to each other, look, whatever happens, I got your back. Like, you know, that shot from the image that was released where Miguel like looks at him and everyone's like, they're beefing. I'm like, no, I think that's a look of like, lock in. I
I
got you.
just think this is the refreshing thing about their dynamic in part 2 is that
It's
for
not
the
drama.
first time we're going to see them push each other, and
Oh,
it's not like they're against each other now. They're on the same team. So
yeah.
what is if Miguel's messing up? Robbie's definitely going to be the guy that says to him, and especially because now they're stepbrothers, it does play a part in their growth. I think people
Family
are
dynamic.
neglecting that a little bit. You know,
Yeah.
like
People are glossing over that too much.
some people think that's not going to be much of a thing in the tournament. I think it is. I think there's going to be brotherly moments between them, and I don't think
they're fighting
would
for
have
their
made it
family
brothers.
future. Like they're legitimately fighting for their family's future now. The both of them. They're on the same page.
This is the thing that people need to remember is that they're both family now, so they're fighting for the same thing. But of course, at first, it's like for Robbie. For Robbie, he's he's not going to college. He's not.
No,
I feel like for him, the tournament is everything right now.
Yeah.
Whereas with Miguel, it is everything to him to get into college, into a stable life after. Because you know, if he continues karate, I'm sure he will in some aspect. But I feel like Robbie's. I've said this before. I think out of all the kids, Robbie has the biggest future as a sensei because
he's been shown for that since the start.
He's shown mentorship. He's had leadership qualities. He's even led like the dojo.
Daniel did say he was hanging up the cape.
Whether if that's Robbie that does that or if it goes to Johnny, maybe Johnny does cry a little bit longer before he sort of retires from it. You never know, but I think I genuinely feel like Robbie has that potential as a sensei. No matter what happens in this tournament.
Yeah, and he's learned from every single like sensei. He's learned from Kreese, he's learned from Silver, he's learned from Johnny, he's learned from Daniel, he's learned from Chosen, he's learned from all of them.
He's the one kid that has learned from all those senseis, and that's
like
one to one. If you think about it, yeah,
it's nuts, And then someone like just to put an olive branch out there, where does that leave Mr. Serpiente? Well, it's like I said, this tournament only goes so far as Miguel allows it. If you don't have Miguel locked in, you're not getting anywhere.
Nah.
You're not getting anywhere.
Because I feel like initially, I know the fandom, we know how it works with the Miguel and Robby fans. They get very I know a lot of Miguel fans were annoyed. They're like, why wasn't he captain? Why wasn't he? And I was like, look,
just chill.
It doesn't mean he's not gonna get his shine. It doesn't mean he's not gonna get this or that. It's just it could be either character. And I'm at that point now.
Yeah. Especially
at this point of the show with the 6th season. I appreciate both characters.
They've come so far. It's such a you don't get duos like this often. You really don't. You really don't. They push each other so far to the point where everyone's like, oh, this character, that character, this character, that character. I'm like, without one, you don't have the other.
Yin yang,
you really don't. And as much as I love Daniel and Johnny, Robbie and Miguel didn't take 30 years to settle their beef.
No, they didn't. That's the thing.
So they will become way more evolved. Like I've said this, and I'll say it again, right? There will be a season 7 years from now. I give it about 7 years.
If there's not, the film is going to address this, I'm sure.
Yeah, like there will be a future story of these two characters together. Guaranteed.
I will not be surprised if, other than Sam and Tori, Miguel and Robby are the main protagonists in that season or the film.
For sure they are. They are.
They're going to be much more grown up by then, and I think the stories for them there's a lot of potential. Plus, I just think I'll give a quick shout out to people that said hello. Craig, what's happening, brother?
Craig, what's up, dude? Yeah, that was funny. I'm sorry.
That was funny. And Cobra Kai World, what's going on, man? It's good to see you here, buddy. Yeah, I think it's I just think the stakes right now, it's not about who's captain. It's not about
doesn't matter.
Oh, why isn't this character that character?
Really doesn't matter.
It's simply about bringing it home, man. It's
yeah, no, it really is. And
is.
you know, we've talked a lot about how the tournament could play out to where both characters get their shine, and I'm sure we'll touch upon that at some point soon in the stream here. But you know, there is a way that we both formulated that serves both, and you know, it's just I'm excited to see it unfold. You know, I think we're in for a good. There's a good ending there. I think the writers. It's not like it's being written and directed by J.J. Abrams. Okay, like it's they've got some consistency in there. They know that these characters both need their shine, and there is you got a donation. There has been so much emphasis on the show having these two on the same page. You know, like it's and especially when Mike's training them, they have that moment together. It's small and subtle. But my two little favorite moments are the small, subtle, you know, like expressions they give each other. Like ours was the favorite one in season 4 when they looked at each other at the party thing.
Yeah, and they were going to talk.
Season, it's when they look at each other and then they both do the cartwheel, and then the other one is when they're doing the capture the flag thing, and they like smile while looking at each other. Because as much as I love Eli, it's like, okay, you go over there, Piccolo. It's Goku and Vegeta time, and then they both just grab it. Ouch.
Navina, thank you so much for that donation. I don't know if that's like a prediction or I don't know what that's supposed to be, but I will say this: the opponents for Miguel and Robby in this tournament are definitely going to bring them closer together because
forget Miguel and Robby beefing. There's no need for that anymore.
I mean, if anything, all the beef they've had in the past, that's going to have toughened them up to these new characters they come across, right? Especially some of the ones we've seen in part 1, like Quan and Yoon are going to be big threats. You've also got these other dojos we don't know about, and also this new character, Axel, who was in the Inside the Dojo look.
Beast. And
he's like, supposedly this actor is like 6'4". He's like the same height nearly as Thomas Ian Griffith. And he's part of the male fighters. So just think about how Miguel and Robby are going to have to face someone like that.
Exactly. But the brutality... Like, this is why I was always saying that before we knew that they needed 6 fighters for the Sekai Taikai, I said that it doesn't matter how many people Miyagi-Do have. No. You may not have enough. Even without the 6 rule, you may not have enough. The kind of fighters this tournament will attract, and someone from what we've heard about Axel, who's like a beast, like karate's version of Drago, if you will.
He's as dangerous. I said, yeah.
He's completely dangerous. Like, it's and stuff like that, people like Dimitri or Anthony, you know, they're going to get creamed. Like, you know, so who do you have at the end of the day? Like, it's the 4 down there.
If Dimitri or Anthony were fighting like someone like Quan or Yoon or Axel, I'm sorry, but that's going to be, that's going to be like, that'd be a very stupid thing to do. Like, you know, you'd never have them plotted against them, but I feel like...
Well, Robby 5'6".
I will bring up this theory that I did make in a video, that if this guy is...
So everyone, make sure you smash the like button. So let's get this boy up to 100.
Smash the like button.
Smash 100K. The like button. Let's go.
We're getting there, baby. And you're getting 10K, sir. I want to see that happen.
See what happens when you have a friend that motivates you, guys. See what happens here.
I get so confused whenever I'm pointing.
There you go. Yeah, as you were saying.
So yeah, like with the theory I had is that, you know, because this season really feels like it has Rocky IV elements. You know, I was saying to Jacob, I think I was after I made my video, I spoke to Jacob. I was at a train station. I was heading to London, and I called Jacob. And I think you're on your way to work, and we both had this conversation about obviously Miguel and Robby, and also, you know, this thing with both of them. It's like a Rocky Apollo thing. Now, if this Axel guy is supposed to be like an Ivan Drago, then that worries me, because what's he done in previous tournaments? What can he do? What kind of damage could he do to Miyagi-Do? He's not even supposedly Cobra Kai, so Who is this guy?
And he's a brand new character that we've never met before.
No, we don't know what his motives are. Does he embrace no mercy more than even the Cobra Kai's? Is he
even Quan? Well,
worse than Quan? I mean, if we have someone worse than Quan, then the stakes are so high that it is a matter of life and death. It really is.
Yeah.
I will say this as well. Like, I know you're not the biggest fan of Sam, but her dynamic with Miguel, it feels very Rocky and Adrian right now. Like, she's been really rooting for Miguel and pushing him, and I really like what they've done with Sam in that regard. And hopefully,
the conversation she had with Tori was so sweet.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely one of my favorite scenes with both characters, and both actresses. Just amazing. And so with this, we got to also bring up Sam and Tori here with Miguel and Robby, because, like we were saying, if Robbie's going through a little bit of an issue with, you know, I mean, he's definitely going to have an issue with Tori in Cobra Kai, but how does that affect him, his mentality? How is Sam going to feel about that? How is that going to affect Miguel and Sam? They're going to be more concerned for Robby.
Yeah, they're like, you've got to lead us here.
I think it's going to be, I don't know if, you know, I'm sure they'll get into the tournament, you know, in episode 6 when part 2 drops, but there's got to be some conversations where people are worried about Robby. Like, your girls in Cobra Kai, what are we going to do about this?
Yeah, and especially because it comes from a place of where the characters know, like, your greatest rival knows you, your ex-girlfriend knows you, you know, like, they know you, and they know what roads you've been down before. How does one, are you going to be able to keep a clear head and lead this team to victory? And that's why, in my eyes, it's the test of a captain. It's the same thing. Rodimus Prime had in Transformers, where it was like the burden.
Oh, I love that.
Like, can you carry the burden of leading the team in someone else's absence, or while this is happening? It's such a great conversation, and I think, you know, the parallels between, you've got Miguel and Robby that are going to push each other this tournament and help each other, and then on the reverse, you've got Sam and Tori that are actually going to help each other. I think that's going to be where they focus that bond, because that bond was starting to grow and really become something quite pure. And where we are with Miguel and Robby, that's where those two are going.
I think what I'm really curious about is, you know, with the Tori stuff, if there will be a conversation between, you know, I'm sure Robby will have that conversation with her about, you should come to me for more help.
That'll happen.
And I think it's going to be difficult if, you know, this conversation, especially because of the Cobra Kai's you got now, they are really embracing no mercy. And I feel like Quan is definitely going to be something that pushes Robby. But I think Robby is going to be more motivated, especially seeing like the people in that dojo. And
that dojo's taking everything from that boy.
I personally don't think Tori is even like super happy to be there. I think maybe that was her only chance to compete.
I think it's because she feels like, and Robby had a little bit of this. It's because she feels like, you know, that conversation Daniel and Robby had in season 3, where he's like, I feel like I can't change. Like, it feels like maybe Tori's stuck in this endless cycle, you know, and that story with the prince and whatever sounds cheesy, but it's clearly Robby. But in that story, beautiful scene with her and her mum. Anyone that has a connection with, you know, Mumsy, like you felt that, you know, just sort of something as simple as that drawing, I think, is what Tori feels like she had, the only thing she has, and she doesn't feel like she can be more than a karate tournament, which is quite sad, you know. And I think it will take someone like Sam to go and show her, hey, no, forget this tournament, you are more. And that's been a problem the whole of part 1. Everyone's losing their minds over, you know, getting this tournament. What does it mean for me? It's like, hang on, don't put a trophy over the people you're with, which is something that Dimitri and Hawk are dealing with.
And yeah, I feel like with Robby and Miguel, I think when they see stuff like what's going on with Dimitri and Eli, I think that's going to make them...
They might sort that out together.
they might go, you know what, like it's so important for us to both lead together with this and be in sync with it, you know, like if one of us isn't balanced, we gotta call each other out on it, you know.
Yeah.
We're brothers now, we gotta be more like,
Yeah.
we gotta
As
tell
cool,
tell
as
each
cool
other
as this
straight.
is, like, I love the captain's headband. As cool as it is, like, do a Luke Skywalker with this thing. Get it out of here. Like, you need both people on deck to help solve the problem. The captain's headband is merely just an object. It doesn't mean what the character is, you know. And for
Yeah.
someone like Miguel, I'm looking forward to this time around him being in that sort of gold Zeo Ranger position. He has the power to change the whole dynamic of this tournament just by being it.
And I think that goes back to synergy. Like they're both going to be doing things they've never done before together in a tournament.
Yep.
So they're trying to work through that, and they're also trying to work through the competition. They don't know who the hell they're coming up against.
They have no idea who.
Such a new thing, and it's, you know, Daniel and Johnny made it very clear that the kids are they're gonna have to really. You gotta go for every fight. You gotta go with every fight per fight. Not let's go. Let's think about the later stages. You gotta focus on every stage, like it's every
up until
every
that. You can't just get to Chelsea and Bayern Munich at the end there. You got to go through the whole journey.
The whole journey with it, and I'm sure
every character
going into this tournament, Miyagi-Do will be underdogs because this is the first time America has been involved in the Sekai Taikai. So also the competition out there, surely they're, other than Cobra Kai and the other and the, you know, the other,
it's going to be elite.
like, they're going to be dojos that probably go, look at these guys, this is their first time,
looking down on
gonna target them. And if you know, Robby, if Robby's struggling as captain and the kids are struggling in the fights, you know, what leader, who's gonna, other than Johnny and Daniel, who's gonna reel them back in? And I think the kids all collectively, I think they have to find within themselves that they have to do this. You know, their senseis have done everything they can for them. But
and it's that point of maturity, like as you grow up as well, where you love your teachers and you love your senseis, but eventually you have to make your own choices. And we love Daniel and Johnny, and they will be pivotal in this tournament. Same as with Chosen or whoever else they bring in. You know, cheers with the tea.
Cheers.
But you know, I think they'll have a moment where they go, look, we're about to progress from being kids to adults. We're able to make our own decisions now. It's like a coming of age thing where they go, okay, we don't like, we love them, but now it's time to make our own decisions. It's time to stop basing what we do off of a rivalry that started 30 years ago, and time to start basing it off of the journey we could go to 30 years from now.
And that is essentially what both Robby,
especially those four down there.
Yeah, the core four are the future.
Core four.
I mean, Eli and Dimitri, yes. Eli especially.
Core four.
But I think the core four they're the driving factor. I also want to go into this, you know, idea with the, you know, who could win this, you know, the core four. It's going to be down to them. If
it'll be down to the core four. No debate there.
But I do want to definitely bring this up, is that I know fans of Miguel and Robby have been so aggressively determined on one or the other winning it. I get Robby needs his win. Also, we can't forget Miguel, but
it's very interesting.
We can't have this. You know, guys, as fans, we have to look at the bigger picture, and I think my way of seeing. So this is my theory that I'll point out. Jacob was in agreement with me with this.
Yeah, this is like majority him, so I'm not going to take credit for this.
But no, I feel like we were on the same page with it, and I think with both characters, you know, there's this conundrum of if one doesn't win, then the other loses out, right? Does it ruin their story? La 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 la. Well, the simple conclusion is, what if?
Wait, you said that? For everyone that lacks nuance.
Yeah, I will say that. I feel if
that was good.
Miguel doesn't win it and Robby goes on to winning it, I think there's going to be something that makes it that they're both co-champions. And here's my theory on that. I think
this.
if one of them gets injured, let's just say Miguel, I don't want it to happen.
I don't want it to happen.
If something like that does happen and one of them has to finish the fight,
Mm-hmm.
but if, like, let's say Miguel does, he's not the captain, right? Captains have to
do the final
win. Only captains can be in the individual contest. So
yeah,
if Miguel ends up going to win it, what if they give the trophy to Robby because he's technically the captain and their dojo won, and in a very brotherly way, and this would parallel the Karate Kid 1. What if Miguel gets given the trophy? Oh no, Robby gets given the trophy, but Robby goes up to Miguel and says, as much as we, you know, I got this trophy, you got this trophy. This is our trophy, and they both lift it together. What would that parallel? Johnny giving the trophy to Daniel, saying, "You're all right, LaRusso," and Daniel said, "Thanks." And here's the thing: Robby is very much like his father. Then, if they go that route, and it's not just that he's the exact same as Johnny, but it's the essence of the good stuff of Johnny is in Robby. And this is something we've never seen before. It's not that we're trying to appease to both sets of fans. No. I think it tells a bigger picture that
it's a bigger story. I think fans just think it's some kind
I would love it. I would love to see them both.
You can't honestly tell me, like, not you, like people watching, you can't honestly tell me you wouldn't get emotional and misty-eyed at seeing them share it together. You really can't.
Dude, imagine that story, like for both of them to go through everything they did in 6 seasons, to lifting the fucking world title together. Man. Yeah, I'm sorry, I would love
and that's the thing, like but the captain's fight, but there's going to be games and fights leading up to that where, let's say, if it is a point-based system or something, maybe Robby and Miguel get the same amount.
Yeah, or it could be if it's based on how many fights you've won. What if the fight that Robby wins is equal to the amount Miguel won, let's say?
Yeah.
Or, you know, I just think there's got to be
I don't know if I spoke about this with you, but I think me and RJ were also saying as well that if the points are involved, you still have Robby versus Quan. Robby wins, he beats Quan, but because of the points, another dojo is tied. And that's where Miguel steps in to finish it off. So I think Robby still gets that dub, but Miguel brings it home.
The only thing with this theory is
depending on
if Miguel if Miguel isn't a captain and he's doing like one of the last fights, how is that possible? Like that's the only thing with Robby. Like, what does Robby just give him the captain headband saying you finished the fight? Like, what is the motivation there?
One thing that I was saying, and based on what we know about, let's say, the character of Axel and what kind of role he's going to play, I really would love a situation or a scenario. Now, they would have to earn this. Like, it would have to be earned within the story. You don't do it carelessly. So, let's say Robby has his match with Quan. Cool, bang, boom. No doubt in my mind, Miguel's new big bad is, of course, Axel.
Yeah.
So, with the way this plays out, Robby takes this off, says, I've done my part. Your turn.
That could be a way they do it. I think if
the tournament allows for sharing of the headband like that,
that's the only thing.
That's the only thing. I hope that there is a way they could do that and don't lock that like to one specific person,
right?
Because they allowed the dojos to choose the captain.
Because what makes me curious is if something happens to one of the kids, or you know, it's that something outside of the tournament happens.
Oh yeah, that'll happen.
And that means Miguel has to fight instead of Robby. That would be, I can imagine Robby being so pissed off, but if it's the other way around, I feel like they're going to be closer as brothers. Yeah. I feel like that's going to push them.
There was something I was watching not too long ago where I think it was Beyblade, where basically one of the characters is basically meant to have that for instance, the captain's fight. Now he goes the distance, right? And he gets injured halfway through the tournament, like halfway through, gets knocked out. Then someone steps in his place, takes over captaincy for the rest of the tournament, and then Robbie comes back to have the final fight at the end, like fighting through injury or something.
That could definitely happen.
There's so many like different. It's so interesting to see the different ways that it could work and the different dynamics. I think for me, as long as they find a way, there's these writers are good. There's got to be a way they can have a scene where both of them share that trophy together on stage. I don't, as much as it's a team thing, Miyagi-Do, just stand over there a minute. Let them have it alone, just together. I don't want Hawk or Kenny or whoever, like just those two for the moment. Let them have their moment.
I think they need to. I think what they need to do is they both have that moment together. Maybe they announce it that they're co-champions, and then Miyagi-Do obviously rushed them in celebration. That would be really
just
cool.
Imagine on the announcer, like for the first time in Sekai Taikai history, we have a dual champion.
See, that would be interesting because what does that mean for both of them? Because you know there's sponsorships and different things at the tournament. Do you remember in season 5, Hawk was saying about it? You know, the perks of this tournament. It's not. You have to sell yourself at this tournament. You market yourself, right? If they both win, imagine just in terms of the martial arts community, Miguel's future is certain with college and all these other things.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Robby sponsorships. What if he, I'm not saying he's becoming Mike Barnes, but what if he becomes the poster boy of karate because of this Sekai Taikai victory? Because people really think, wow, this kid, who is he? He's not at college.
He's kicked. You know, like
he could become. His future is he could be the karate's bad boy, but not like a Mike Barnes,
but in a good way. You know, he maybe goes like from tournament to tournament. You know, taking the skills that he's learned, competing in other tournaments. You know, to open doors for his family.
Dude,
and with this tournament, it opens the door for Miguel. Here you go to college.
It could be that, I mean, we got the biggest tournament in the world for karate, but if Robby really wanted to continue karate for his own sake in that way, he could compete in national level again.
Dude, they could open that door. That would be such a good door to open. Like I feel like that makes sense.
He really cares about karate. That's his future. So what's he going to do?
He cares about nurturing talent and, you know, use it like his mentor role and whatever. And being as a captain, it's one thing to be responsible for Kenny, who's a kid getting bullied. Now he's responsible for like 6 people and 2 of them who are inevitably going to get, you know, so what does that add to him? And then it opens the door for Miguel to go to college and enhance his future. Like it's something so powerful and poetic where as much as Johnny wants to be the guy in his family that gives his family a better life, him caring for his sons, his boys is ultimate. They give Johnny the life that he's been trying to get.
Exactly that.
Family, new start.
And I think, I mean, if we're talking the future of their characters, even after part 2 and part 3, beautiful. I mean, there's so much you can
leaves them in such a good position.
I personally think this is definitely the element in the room we got to discuss about, you know, if they're not co-champions and one of the other wins. I know you've made it clear like how you feel if like Robby doesn't
like
win.
It's just my view. Like if they all right, so let's just address the obvious. If Robby is to lose the Sekai Taikai or not win, then I would have rather you just gave Miguel the captain's headband and then we can root for Miguel from the off kind of thing. Like I know why they did it and whatever else, but I feel like at least for me, I would give Miguel the captain's headband, fully root behind him, get him in the final, get him the dub, stuff like that. That's just me. But
yeah,
if they do have a plan, if they do, which they do, if they do have some kind of way of salvaging it so that, yeah, okay, right, there's a sole champion, it's just Miguel, cool, I don't get a say. What do we give Mr. Keen? Like, you know, there's got to be, for those 2 in particular, you know, like, yes, I know fans love Hawk and they love whoever, but let's be real, it goes back to those 2 from the start. So if they don't give Robby that trophy, then what do they give him? You know, and I feel like there will, that's why I'm so excited for part 3, is because if they do go the sole champion route, there's definitely something good and juicy in store for either character, you know? And it's different talking to you about it because you get it. Like you get where I'm coming from, where we've got to give Mr. Keen something. You know,
I want the best for both characters. Like
generally speaking, when I mention it, I get put in the camp of fanboy. Like storytelling, please.
I get it. Yeah. I here's the thing. Like I don't want Miguel to win, but
Mhm.
Robby to get done dirty. I don't want Robby to get a great win, but
Yeah,
they do
no, I
Miguel
hate.
dirty. I don't want a character's victory to be at
Mhm.
the expense of someone's, downfall in the sense they didn't win this or that. Like, I don't want that to affect their endings. I want it to be, again, if one of them wins it, the other has to get equal shine.
Yeah,
And we said it before, if Robby wins a tournament, maybe Miguel has a fight outside that is equal to that.
yep.
Or vice versa. Robby has a street fight or something, he saves a life that's equal to Miguel winning. If they
Yeah.
don't go the co-champion route. But again, how they execute it is so important.
Yeah,
because
it's all about execution, isn't it? That's the main thing for me. It's all about execution, and
don't ruin two great characters. Don't ruin their
no,
arcs.
don't do that.
I
And
mean,
I've always
Anthony, do what you want with Anthony's
do what
ending,
you
but-
want with Anthony. Like I couldn't give a LaRusso. I do what you want. Do what you want with Anthony. I really couldn't care.
But, don't do Miguel and Robby.
I said on my
especially-
stream last week, I was like, imagine this: if I've called it Dimitri and Devin get injured, we're calling in the cavalry, Anthony LaRusso.
How is that?
God, look at
I find that hilarious.
Cody.
I just find that so. Just thinking about it now, bro. It's just.
It's like, yeah, that's what I said. We may not have enough fighters. That's what I was always saying.
He said, "Damn right." Oh my god, Cody.
Damn
Cody,
right.
he's your favorite, isn't he?
Yeah, you always get him in your little player drafts.
Oh, that is funny.
Mm. Like, it's all about execution for me. Like, if Robby is to not win it, then fine. I'm sure there'll be a story reason or whatever else. It's just make it an earned one, like don't have him and I say the same for Miguel, like don't subsidize him just so you can lift
Don't
Robby
do
up.
that.
I hate
Let's
that.
not do that.
It's something that's been a massive problem the whole show. Every time Robby's head's not in it because of one plot device or another, he loses. Miguel's back spasmed out. It's like there's all these little things, and I get that, but it's like there's all these little things that crop up that keep them from, I want Cobra Kai to mature a little bit. And I think with it being a tournament where characters get, for all intents and purposes, bloodied up and they're fighting to the death, like fight through the pain. Like we haven't actually had a Karate Kid 2 type fight or a Karate Kid 3 type fight even in a tournament where it's like brutal. It's bad.
I genuinely feel like we need that.
Yeah, even Jaden Smith's Karate Kid. I want that kind of vibe where the audience is championing, like, get up, Robby, get up, Miguel, like, get up. And then in essence, one of them could become the people's champion.
I think I think it's so true. Like, they definitely need to show the kids are so much more tougher now that the tournament fights, essentially, the Sekai Taikai tournament fights are feeling like not even like tournament fights. They feel like street fights. They feel like the preparation they've had outside of tournaments, ironically, will probably be more beneficial to them for this tournament because this is not like the All Valley. This is
training
nothing
and doing
like
kata doesn't, as much as I love Miyagi, training and doing kata isn't for this one. You need Cobra Kai kind of.
If anything, you need. I know the kids shouldn't have gone through certain things, but they had to go through those things.
They make you what you are. And there's a good.
that.
There you go. You see, and synergy. And there's a good lesson there where when you go through certain things, while it's painful, it shapes you into who you are. And just imagine this: when you've got Robby facing Quan, Miguel facing Axel, in those fights, forget whoever gets the sole champion, whoever wins, whatever. Just forget that for a minute. Maybe there could be a scenario where in both of those fights, when those two characters are fighting, there's like they're going to do it right, but it's very 80s inspired. There's like a montage of all the moments played from them all the way back to season 1 of this show.
I hope Robby they really do that, dude.
Like, you've got Robby remembering how his dad and him reconciled, how him and Miguel put it to bit, like, while he's bleeding and there's like tears coming down, like it's 2-2, final stages. And then you've got same thing for Miguel where he's fighting through the pain. He realizes, oh yeah, I was an absolute beast. Then my injury happened. Then I overcame it. I learned to walk again. All this great emotional stuff, like hammer it home. Then it makes it more satisfying when they knock them on the bloody, arse. Just go all in. Don't pull any punches. Make it emotional as hell. And from part one alone, they've already done so much in terms of the emotions and the score. Just imagine the score by Leo and Zach as Robbie's fighting probably with a broken arm against Quan. Miguel's fighting through massive back pain and blood on his face against Axel.
Oh,
like,
that's gonna be
mwah!
awesome.
Chef's kiss. Beautiful. Cry.
Can't wait.
It's gonna be emotional. Can't wait.
I think people. This is the one thing as well. It's gonna be so emotional for both characters, no matter what happens. I know we're gonna. Whoever's watching that on like the the first day, like part 2 release or part 3, like they're both gonna get some moments. And also not just that, but their character endings. If we're going beyond part 2, like in part 3, how are they gonna end? How are they going to end their character journeys for the show?
There might be a Harry Potter type thing where like there's like a flash forward.
Dude, if they do that, oh my
I would
god!
like that.
I would be very surprised if they did that.
One other thing they could do. This is just to keep both sets of fans happy. But I did come up with this, where let's say Soul Champion, whoever it is, there could be a flash forward to someone else, the other one winning a tournament down the road, like a flash forward.
See, they could do that. Would be cool if
there's so much potential with this show.
After like the main ending is done for Cobra Kai, if there is like a montage epilogue type moment, like 5 minutes, showing you where all the main characters are going.
Yeah.
Where if some of them are flying to another country, I don't know if some of the kids go to Okinawa. Let's just say that.
That'd be nice.
If like Robbie, Sam, Miguel, maybe they go, or perhaps, like you said, we might see Lapuso, Kenny, and Devin like doing well in the tournament in the All Valley.
They'll have it.
And then it might cut to Johnny and Daniel. I mean, especially what they've achieved with the Sekai Taikai, like bringing their dojo there and everything. You know, how is the martial arts community going to talk about them? Yeah. And could you imagine if they do a flash forward? What if one of the kids is like, what if Robbie is the sensei and he sat all the kids down and he's talking about Johnny and Daniel? And then perhaps Miguel comes into the scene and he also says a few things. And then they have 2 visitors, Johnny and Daniel, come in. Yeah. And they just kind of see what's going on. And then maybe it shows where they're at.
I think it would be such a beautiful thing. Like, I think, we've got like part 2, I think will have the same length as part 1, but part 3, I'd say the last 3 episodes will be a bit longer. Hopefully the last one's like an hour long, like fingers crossed. But there's going to be so much stuff in there. There's so many arcs to wrap up. You can't do that all alone in a tournament. So I would love, just like, it's stuff where it basically tells you, okay, if we pick up the show 10 years down the road, we've got all these seeds that we've planted where we can do stuff, but it gives you, the viewer, the idea of, okay, these guys are good, And I think I was talking about this with Kevin the other day, where let's say I'll extend a branch to the Miguel crowd. If Robbie is to be a Soul Champion, for instance, they have a Rocky Apollo type fight behind the scenes. Season 7 comes and they reveal, Miguel won it.
Ooh.
It's like that Rocky Apollo thing where, like,
that would be interesting.
Where Adonis says, "Oh, you guys had a fight away from the cameras. Who won?" He goes, "He did." Stuff like that,
Yeah, because in after Rocky 3, didn't Apollo win the fight?
Yeah. So basically, once Rocky
I remember
happened, they had a fight at the end, and then
like right as they're about to hit.
Yeah, like they never revealed who won it, but when it came to Creed 2. Adonis asks Rocky who won, and Rocky goes, "He did."
Yeah,
and especially if Miguel's fighting someone like Axel, he's got very much Rocky in his DNA. Like very much a Rocky type of fight will happen for him.
I just want this to be a thing with the fans. Just because you support one character a lot, and I understand we all have a specific character we love more than others, but the energy you should have, even if you're not Miguel's not your main guy, if he is fighting Axel in the final, I want you to root for him if that was Robbie, if that was another character.
If let's say it's maybe Robbie and Quan isn't the final. Maybe it's Miguel and Axel. Maybe something happens in the tournament to both of them.
All the characters are going to be behind this character fighting for them in the tournament.
Because that's the thing.
The win is so important. It doesn't matter who's fighting. It's who wins.
It's who win. Like if
really
they get to the
matters.
final and it's like Axel in the final instead of Quan, then I don't want Robbie there. Like I want Miguel there, because that fight no doubt is going to be personal. Like the more personal you can make the fight, the better. Like because it just gives it so much juice. You know, it just makes it so juicy. Otherwise, you're just watching the same thing you've seen for the last 5 seasons. Like spice it up a little bit, you know, freshen it up. Make it personal. Go take some risks, you know. Maybe in that case, like someone was asking me this, if let's say the final ends up being Miguel and Axel, like maybe Robbie and Quan have a fight outside and it rules both of them out or something. You never know.
Also, disqualifications. Like I'm sure something is going to happen.
Oh, dude, I was saying this the other day, and I know you. I talked about this with you as well.
Oh my god, I hope they don't do that with one of the Miyagi.
Purposeful disqualifications where, like, don't do it cheap, don't do it carelessly. But, you know, for instance, let's say if it was Kenny versus Axel, he's not gonna, like, he's not gonna.
Would you be more
Kenny doing the silver bullet would be nice.
They need to bring some of these techniques in, because I'm still
curious. Yes, they do.
If I feel like we do need to see a new technique that kids could use, but I don't know if they just keep that for the adults, although I feel like if Silver taught a kid a very deadly technique. That's something Miyagi never did with Daniel.
Use it.
But you gotta use it. I'm sure Kenny...
Especially because, I mean, we've talked about this a lot, haven't we? How, like, they're gonna use... As much as we love Miyagi-Do to pieces, we do. Cobra Kai is what the show is called. So using Cobra Kai's methods against it is the way. You're gonna see Cobra Kai Hawk come back. You're gonna see Cobra Kai Miguel, which is peak Miguel, like that, and then Cobra Kai Robbie. Like you're gonna see them all resurge. Imagine Kenny using the silver bullet against Cobra Kai.
What I love is that doing that, and also the fact that the kids they've tapped into that Cobra Kai edge. They've also now got the Miyagi-Do Foundation. They also have the understanding of balance. They have the understanding of being able to manipulate both styles whilst fighting, and the aggression they have. Oh, dude, this is gonna be, oh my god.
There's a form in Star Wars which Mace Windu uses called Vapad, which basically uses the light and the dark, but he won't fall to the dark side. It's using both.
That's why Mace is a badass.
That's what they're doing with the kids. They're basically giving them both styles and saying, hey, you need both for balance.
I feel like Cobra Kai is one of those shows that it plants stuff and you have to remember it in order to see what happens.
It pays it off in a later season.
Remember Chosen? To think like serpent? To catch serpents, you must think like serpent. Ironically, that plays a part in the tournament. Yeah. They're fighting Cobra Kai. Massively. What do? You fight exactly in a way so they don't expect it.
You go on the offense, like, because they're going to expect you to be on defense the whole time. Go on offense.
Exactly.
You've got Miguel, Robbie, and Hawk. Like, I don't want to see some tiptoeing around. You go on offense. Like, you got those three, especially Hawk and Miguel. Like, I love Robbie at pieces, but offense,
they get hit, they get a bit bloodied. That's it's gonna be like the Bruce Lee effect. I feel where when Bruce Lee sees his own blood and he even like tastes it, he gets so infuriated. Can you imagine Robbie, like gets like hit and then he gets so angry and like he just takes it out on Quan.
Oh yeah, that'd be nice. Or Miguel having a moment where he just spits the blood. He spits the blood. Just imagine if Miguel and Axel are fighting and he's like, you know what, because the rules are going to be different. There's going to be maybe no holds barred types of situations.
I think you're
imagine
right.
Him spit blood in Axel's face for all I care. Like just lob it at him.
What if
stuff like that?
Robbie can you imagine like Robbie like get like Quan kicks him like in the face and like he starts getting bloodied, but he just like that turns something in Robbie like just switches on even more and he just fucks up Quan.
Oh, imagine! Like,
I would be so satisfied seeing Robbie beat Quan because, especially the stuff Quan is probably going to do with him and Tori. You know, he is a menace, and Kreese has taught this guy to be heartless. A crazy guy like that to be heartless. Yeah. So Robbie's gotta go all in on this fight he has with him.
Imagine, dude, when there's they're what I call trigger moments. When Quan smacks him in the face and there's a blood patch there, maybe that reminds Robbie of when he was in juvie and he kicked Sean's ass. Like, there's little trigger moments where it reminds them of moments they've had across the 6 seasons and how they dealt with it.
That's it. I just
emotional gravity.
I can't wait to see the fights. That's another thing we haven't really talked specifically on.
No leaks in the chat, people.
just to see the evolution of Miguel and Robbie Styles and how
Yeah.
they fight other opponents.
Mhm.
I'm so excited for that.
I need a
because
2v2 fight with them against two people. Like
Please,
whether it's Quan and Yoon or whoever, I need a
Please,
2v2 fight.
we gotta
Please.
see that.
Like I just them two. Honestly, that's what I want the most. I want a 2v2 fight. I'm craving it.
Dude,
I want
even
it.
if they don't necessarily do that in the main tournament, if there is a dojo brawl, as one of my predictions is,
Yeah, there will be.
I want to see them fighting together, like back to back. They're both like surrounded and they're fucking up people.
2 versus everyone else. Like, I mean, I love Hawk and I love everyone else, but I feel like this tournament's going to take pretty much most of Miyagi-Do off the page. You may have a scenario, and I want to prepare people for this, especially the Hawk crowd, with everything that could potentially happen with Dimitri and whatever else. It's going to come down to Miguel and Robby 2 versus. And what did Daniel say in season 2? 2 people against 20. I want to see 2 vs 10. I want to see it.
I'm not gonna lie though. If they get surrounded, but I just really want to see them fight together.
They've put it off this entire show. I remember us doing the season 4 stream, and one of the things that we said for season 5, we so desperately wanted like a moment in Mexico where they teamed up together. I so badly want that. I really do.
I think if they were on the same page in Mexico, like earlier, or perhaps what would have been interesting is if Miguel wasn't so easily like deceived by those like scammers in Mexico.
Yeah.
But what if like Johnny and Robbie arrived earlier?
Yeah.
And what if he swooped in with the kick? You know, when like Johnny's there, like imagine if that was Robbie, and then like Miguel looks at Robbie and nods, and then they both start fighting together. That would have been
been so freaking clean.
Oh dude, I would have loved that.
That would be that. Oh, and the thing is, you know as well as I do, they are scratching at the surface of what these two can do together. There's a reason why they've left
glimpses in part 1. We need to see this in part 2. We really do. Especially part 3. I'm sure there's gonna be something manic for them both, but
just make sure the audio was good. But yeah, no, there's a reason why they've left it till now, and the reason why no one could ever see Miguel and Robby on the same page is because you can only once you execute it, you can't undo it. No. Now they're on the same page. Right, John, Josh, and Hayden, you 3 know you're milking it now. Come on, can we start seeing some stuff with those 2, please? Like, come on.
Yeah, I really do, man.
All we've got is the season 5 dojo brawl bit, and I want more. I want more of just those 2 going ham. And honestly, and you know, for all the love we've given Robby, let's give Miguel some shine here. I've said for a while that I feel like Miguel's missing a bit of his edge, where like he's grown and he's developed and he's matured from a mentality standpoint. I want to see that Miguel come back from season 1 and 2. You know, the driven one, the hungry one. I want to see that one come back. That's the one that everyone loves. Like, obviously, don't be rude to everyone around you. Can't say the word, but you know, I want to see that Miguel where he has that edge. He has that don't mess with me kind of energy. You know, and you remember the training sequence in season 1 where you know Johnny's training him and stuff like that. Intimate scenes like that, you know, just stuff like that. You know, I want more of that. You know,
I think
Miguel is him
with both characters. I really do want to see Miguel and Robby train together as well. That's another thing. Like proper, like you know, they're both like okay. So it could be that you know Robby is so Robbie's a captain. Miguel's not the captain, but he's still training with him.
Yeah,
like 1-to-1. Like it could have been the other way around, but they both are so similar and balanced in their style.
Yeah,
that they're both sort of like Miguel helps him train. Again, Rocky Apollo. It's you know, what if we do see a montage of them training together?
Yeah,
maybe Robbie's got a big fight and he does. Oh, dude, I would love that. I'd absolutely.
I would be so happy with that. And there's, you know, for as much as everyone breaks down what each fighter's good at, you do like when you look at them as dual protagonists, they have what the other one doesn't have. Like, you know, like let's say for instance, Miguel's offense is arguably stronger. Robbie's defense is arguably stronger. So when you have the 2 of them together, balancing what the other one doesn't have,
that's going to be fun. I just think I just feel like both of them, in terms of training, would push each other so much more
Oh
than
man,
before.
I want a training
And
montage of just them two, man. I do. Like,
dude, I would
I
love
loved in season 1 how Daniel and Robbie had that Miyagi-Do training, like classic of the movies. Just imagine a scene of them two with Bill Connie's score in the background. Come on, come on.
man.
Or like an epic rendition of all of their fighting themes up till this point, Sworn Enemies,
But,
Battle
oh,
of
dude,
that.
that would be so sick. Like, you know what I would love if
Oof.
Miguel and Robbie they emulated a fight. So let's say it's like a semi-final fight,
Yeah.
and they've analyzed. Sorry. I think you know. Yeah. So as I was saying, I couldn't even read Kevin's super chat. Kevin, thank you so much for the donation. Imagine in the team elimination round, Miguel and Robbie use the one technique to win one of those, as we saw them being perfect and sick during training with Mike and him. I would love that, dude. That would be amazing.
That would be so freaking good.
I would love to see that. But okay, so thank you so much, Kevin. That's a great, point. That would be really cool. So what I was thinking is like, imagine Robbie's off his game and Miguel's like with him, and he's like, dude, there's only one way I feel like you'll be like refocused. We're gonna emulate a fight. I'm Quan. What are you gonna do? And can you imagine Miguel sort of like poking this, like he's like, come on, Robbie, come on, come on, man.
You know
like he's really trying to get that
to?
focus back.
That's Silver and Daniel in Karate Kid 3, but in the right way. Like he's pushing him, but in a way where it's like, no, I'm not trying to manipulate you. I'm trying to push you. Like, you're going to get back to your best. Because the thing is, if I can't be captain, and
that's what I want.
If I can't be captain and lead this team to victory, then I'm going to make sure you are.
Yeah, because if anything, the only reason I see Miguel getting annoyed at Robbie as captain, if he's faltering, he says,
yeah, he sees him
because I'm annoyed because I know if I was captain, I wouldn't be effing around like this. But then I feel like that's the moment where he will give that pep talk, like,
yeah,
you're the leader, bro. You're leading us.
We're following you.
We follow. We're following you, and
yeah,
it's almost like a fucking.
I think for a while they'll question his
sergeant
decision,
talking to the captain.
If you've seen, like, and I know you have, like, if anyone in the chat has seen anything, I don't know if you've ever watched the Bionicle movies, the original.
Oh my god, that was a long time ago.
There was a moment where when the lead guy basically falls to the dark side, if you will, very poetic, I know. His friend bestie that used to troll him and constantly look down on him is the one to push him back into the headspace of get back together, get back on it.
If they're gonna go this, why make them stepbrothers and make them family? If
Why
you're not gonna have scenes like
Apollo
this,
push Rocky?
Exactly. Apollo was like, "Look, you're the champ now."
You got this Clubber Lang, Quan Axel type coming in here, calling the shots, doing whatever. Nah, we're not doing this. No. And then when Miguel struggles against whatever, Robbie like, "Hey, you did it for me. It's my turn for you. Go do your thing, El Serpiente. Let's go."
That's exactly what I can imagine. So again, there's a fight. Miguel's there. Robbie's always going to have his back. Robbie's going to be like, you know what you're going to do.
Yep.
And there's going to be that moment where it's like, I just, because Johnny and Daniel have these scenes. I think Miguel and Robbie need these kind of scenes together in part 2.
Yes, they do. Especially with it being the final season. Like, I know that they can continue the show down the road and all of that stuff, which is fine. But I think until then, we do need to start really paying off some of this, especially in the final season, that these two are on the same page. They have each other's back. And the best analogy that I've seen of it is most of the show, Miguel has been the Red Mighty Morphin Ranger, and Tommy's been basically Tommy. Robbie's been basically Tommy. Now it's flipped.
Yeah.
Miguel is the Zeo Gold Ranger, and Robbie is the White Mighty Morphin Ranger. And during that season, when Jason comes in, he decides the winner, not Tommy. Like, he decides the winner by pushing Tommy and saying, hey, like, we're seeing Miguel in a lone wolf type of state, which I think is good. It puts all the burden off his shoulders to free up Miguel.
Because he can channel that focus.
Yeah.
Because when Miguel's
completely focused.
When Miguel's fighting for himself, but when he has that focus, which is similar to Robby's but still different. He's gonna win. When Robby has that, I mean, that's intimidating. The focus he had in season 4. Do you know the will to win?
Yep.
He's got to channel that with Quan, with Axel, with these other guys, because that is what they will win if he's in that state. And he can tap into that anger and use it in a smart way. And if anything, if Silver was right about this, store it. Take that anger and store it, and use it when it's necessary. And he can use that anger of Quan, like trying to get in between him and Tori,
get in his head, and it's look,
Cobra Kai and all this.
It's nice to have refreshing villain characters. Like, obviously, they'll give Quan and Axel some grace, sure. It's nice to have a villainous character, but let's not overrate these guys here. Yes, they're great and they're brutal, but we've grown with Miguel and Robby for a reason. And on their day, we've seen what these two are capable of. Like, Miguel laid the smackdown to Hawk in the forest in 5 seconds. You know, he put Kyler with it out like a light within 5 seconds. Robby, when he snaps into focus,
it's game over.
Every attack Quan does, I can see a scenario of where Quan does like a high kick, Robby catches him, and then freaking elbows him.
I'm not gonna lie, but I think there's gonna be a moment where Quan
counters,
gets a few. It's gonna be very balanced between them. I think Quan's gonna get a hit and get really cocky. Then I think Robby's gonna just go and do his thing. And then I think what's gonna happen is Robby's gonna be so on it with offense and defense, it's gonna frustrate Quan. Yeah, and Quan's gonna be like, like, he's just gonna keep getting angry.
He's gonna lose his head, basically like how Mike did, where Mike just
And then I can imagine Robby then just having this zen and focus, which he's got the amped side of season 4 Cobra Kai, like Robby, but he's got the Miyagi-Do earlier Foundations Robby, so he's like switching between the two, and I just imagine Robby
and he looks out into the crowd, and in season 1 he looks at Johnny and, you know, his dad and all of that bad blood. This time he looks at his father, he looks at his stepbrother, he looks at his friends, he looks at his family, he looks at everyone that he's doing it for this time, where it's like, no, I'm not doing it for revenge, I'm not doing it out of spite, I'm doing it because, and I've always been of the notion as well, where for everyone that calls me a Robby fanboy all the time, he hasn't redeemed himself yet. In my opinion, like, he's redeemed himself in the way of, right, he's doing good. He's on the
I agree with you, because
but he hasn't redeemed himself. Not yet. Not yet. Because let's not get it twisted. He nearly killed this boy. You know, he's still. There's got to be a way where he pays up for his mistakes. And the biggest mistake was putting so and so over the balcony. Forget about who won, whatever. That's irrelevant at this point. He still has to redeem that. Like, he's redeemed in the sense of he's on the right side, he's doing good. But I feel like that's why in this tournament I'm so fascinated with his journey, because it's now time to, and we don't get this in media. Hollywood has this obsession. Whenever there's a character that needs redemption, they just bump them off. Waste of a character. When you have a character that has to pay for their sins and you show that journey, how does one truly redeem themselves? Like, if there is a scene where Robby gets injured, right? I think even the most people who are against good old Robster, you're going to shed a tear. That boy's going to get hurt. Like, if they do it in this tournament, he will get dropped like a fly. It'll be hard to watch.
I just feel like
brutal.
The kids have to be so on it.
Yeah, they do. More than the adults. Way more.
Right. It's all up to them. They're like, you know, Johnny and Daniel are like the managers, right? And then you got the players on the pitch. They're going to have to do it all. I just think, especially when it comes down to, like,
and you're passing the torch as well. Like, you're passing the torch. Like, you're setting these kids up to take over the future.
The semifinals, we're gonna have to see these moments with the kids where everything has come up to this point.
Yep.
Every tournament, every fight you've had between each other.
Yep.
The guy you're facing right now in this tournament is a reflection of your journey. So Quan and Robby in a semi-final. This guy represents all the demons you've gone through. Miguel and Axel. This guy is the thing.
Representation.
Exactly that. Physical symbolism of their journeys. The adversity they've had to fight. The sheer will they've had to get to this point in their journeys.
And you guys can go back to that season 4 stream. We said when it gets to this time, when there's another tournament, we want a version of each character that represents what they could have been. Quan is everything. Quan is everything Robby could have been. Miguel is everything that Axel is everything that Miguel has fought against. It's that, like, are you corruptible?
I think, like,
it's beautiful.
Quan is like an infusion of Robby and Miguel if they both went the wrong way, and he's got a bit of Hawk in him as well. But I think Axel is definitely Axel is almost like the Thanos of the kids.
Yeah, he
just based on his height and everything. He's like the big bad. So
yeah, he is.
I hope they do a lot with him. I hope it's not like.
I mean, there could be more for Quan in the, like, we you know, as much as Quan right now is an antagonizing person, I'd be down for a Quan and Axel fight in part 3 if it's post tournament or something. Like, if they can find a way to make it happen. If they can find a way.
Yeah. I really think we're gonna have a lot of stuff coming for both characters, and that goes without saying. I definitely think it's interesting what people said in the chat. I'll go through some comments quickly. Elias says Gold Ranger Miguel. I love that. Yeah, it's like Zeo Gold Ranger. I love that too.
It's great. He's one of the most powerful rangers in the whole show.
Miyagi the Ultra says, might be cringe, but would love it if Miguel and Robby have a handshake like Robby had with the Kenny at All Valley tournament. I mean, they're not. I would like that, but I don't think they will do that. I just don't know if they will do that. I feel like their bond as stepbrothers is going to be more like.
It won't be outwardly said.
It's not going to be so like.
On the nose.
It's not going to be so like where they have loads of charisma together. It's more like both stern and stoic. That's how I see it.
It's a simple expression of, like, if we were, because obviously
I can see more of like a fist bump, like, you know, up and down, and that's it.
Just or even
simple.
That or something, you know. Or wasn't the picture for season 1 where someone was like holding the trophy or something like that, like just something like a fist bump like that or whatever, or just an expression, something as simple as me looking at you and going like this.
Like, can you imagine if it was Carl Weathers and Arnold? Like, you remember that handshake they do? If they did something like that with both, that'd be funny.
That'd be great.
Oh man, I think wait, okay, this is a very interesting question. Is there a world where there is no win and the tournament could be called off?
I don't think so.
I would be disappointed if this happened, because
I don't think so.
You're ruining all the characters' potentials if none of them win. Some of them have to win. Sam and Tori need to win something.
Regardless of who wins it, it's going to be Miguel or Robby. I'll be happy for either or. Like, if you throw the whole tournament or what? No, this isn't directed by Ryan Johnson.
If none of the Miyagi-Do kids, if none of them won, there would have to be such a well-written story for them to get shine equal to that. But what would be equal to that?
If the show's going the way I believe, the tournament might filter into part 3, and I don't feel like you can wrap it up in 3 or 4 episodes if they win. I don't feel like that's possible. Like, not in a convoluted way, especially because, call it PTSD, we don't get endings anymore. Like, we know there's going to be spin-offs and there'll be a sequel, movie or show, but you want to leave Cobra Kai in such a good place where the ending slaps. So then when you pick it up down the road, we're more excited for it, you know, because remember, with The Force Awakens, we were hyped because the last thing we saw is Revenge of the Sith or Return of the Jedi. Now we've got Rise of Skywalker. So now we're not as interested because the ending was poor. So I feel like you mislead a lot of people, and no, don't do that. Don't do that. Leave the tournament as is. Someone needs to win. Easy source. In regards to who or what, we'll see. But I wouldn't do that. It's an interesting thought, though, just in case. It's an interesting thing to talk about, but I wouldn't do it.
I definitely think someone just said
it's like trying to close down McDonald's. Like, how are you gonna do that?
Hold on.
Especially because it feels like everything's been building to this tournament as well. Especially because the original movie.
Duo.
I know what CT Clover means.
We definitely need more of those two in the tournament. I think it's kind of surprising if they don't, especially because Robby's like still going to be part of everything,
Could make that cool as captain. He'd be like, you two go do it together. You two always... And there could be a joke in there. That this is what's great about this tournament. There could be moments where Robbie would say to them, hey, you know, I mean, you two always love to gang up on me, didn't you? So, you know, go have fun. You know, you two go and team up against that. Hey, Miguel and Hawk against Quan and Yoon. You know, something like that. I still want to see Miguel and Robbie against whoever, but maybe they save that for outside the fight or something. I don't know.
If they save it for a street fight, I'm just curious what the fight would be. If this is a big if this goes back to our theories on Hector, Miguel and Robbie fighting together. Oh my god, that would be poetic, dude.
Oh, dude, it's like hey, I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's like a Star Wars level fight, dude.
That would be. Someone said part 2 will be Return of the Jedi.
Like,
I like
that. It will. They'll be like Duel of the Fates. Wait, like you even got Darth Vader's redemption there for Return of the Jedi, but you basically got Duel of the Fates. You got Robbie and Miguel versus
I just thought of something, bro. What if they play Duel of the Fates during one of the fights Miguel and Robbie have? Or even like at some point in part 2, what if they play it? What if, oh my god, if they play it like, if there is a dojo brawl, if they play it like something crazy like that, oh my god.
I will be so down. I'll be so down. Give Hawk a moment as well with Call of the Cobra in the tournament, please.
I really want to see some previous songs played. Like, I want the new songs. I want some songs like, while they're training, I wouldn't mind if we heard Slither. You know, Quiver if they like doing a walkout. You know, I don't mind if we have some repeated tracks because there's so many badass ones. So
there's some that are so good.
That'd be so good.
That'd be so. There's so many soundtracks, especially in the earlier seasons, like seasons 1 to 3, that just slap. Like I've always said it, and I know people are 50-50 on it, but I feel like even outside of the Sekai Taikai, Miguel's father arc doesn't seem wrapped up to me. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't. It feels like a loose plot thread. It feels like there's something missing, and it's one of them things where they could do something with it or not, and they would need a place for it. But if they did, I think you could really do a lot with it, especially because in part 3, like I said, we have no clue what's going to happen post-tournament. And especially it being a televised tournament and it being the final season, you could have moments around the world where everyone's watching. Every legacy character, whether that's Bobby...
I just thought of this as well. Because this is going to be televised around the world, and America's going to have this.
Crap.
So all the guys that didn't go to Barcelona will probably be watching the tournament. Maybe Amanda's got everybody together. Or like, you know, Carmen and everyone's like together. I mean, assuming she's like, you know, assuming she's pregnant with the baby and about to have the baby kind of thing. But I can imagine like, what if something like, especially like something shocking happening in the tournament, imagine everybody sees it.
I was saying this.
That would be insane.
On the subject of that, and I know you spoke about this too, with it being televised around the world,
okay,
how you add onto the emotional value, you take Dimitri out, clean out, and you have a scene where Yasmin's watching on the TV, and there's nothing she can do. Like that would be so devastating. I know you've seen this, but for anyone in the chat who's seen the film Southpaw, there's a moment
I love that film
where
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Freaking great performance.
Amazing
and it came out the same year as Creed, so it never got his flowers. But when he finally wins at the end, and his daughter's like screaming, he did it, stuff like that, as Miguel or Robbie or whoever gets the dub around the world with people watching, you got Kumiko cheering, you got Ali cheering, you got, you know, whoever, any legacy character. Then that way you don't need to bring Ali or Kumiko back in for a massive story reason. You can have them all watching, celebrating.
Do you know what? I think that's probably
I would love
how they would go about it. Kumiko's watching, cheering. You got Ali, you got Jessica, like all the characters, the legacy characters. Even though they don't do karate, they still want to see how Miyagi-Do does. They want to support them.
And it shows how far, like, also how the times have changed, how people used to be ringside, but now you can watch it online or you can watch it as a sport. You know, just maybe a scene where like the pawn shop guy is watching on a laptop or something.
He's like, you gotta like. I would love. I really hope they do that. That'd be awesome.
That'd be so sweet, because then that way you don't have to worry about, oh, we need to give every character a strong reason to come back. And good shout, Dasher Nation. You could have Shannon watching. Like, imagine her seeing her boy.
I really hope she's at the tournament. Like,
you know, they haven't done much with it.
Because what I'm curious is, like, with the finals and semis, surely they should have more of an audience involved with it. But it looks like it's just still going to be there. Like, there's only dojos can be there and fight because it's all televised with everything else.
Yeah.
Clifford, just want to quickly give you a shout out. Thank you so much for the donation, brother. How do you think the interaction between Kim and Tori would go given the end of season 5? Well, I've said this before. Because Tori's now back in Cobra Kai, I don't think Kim's going to like that. And Kreese is going to be the reason why she joined. Not because of Kim, not because of any of the other students. Tori's really thinking about herself here. Just like Robby was saying in season 4, I don't trust Kreese, all this stuff, but you're still with the guy. Like, you're still teaming up. But here's the problem. Kim might see that she can't rely on Tori because she might be conflicted with being in that dojo and then seeing Robby. And perhaps she might see the way the Cobra Kais are treating Robby, right? To get in his head and stuff. She probably hates that. I can see Kim sort of going, you still got this, like, you still haven't left your boyfriend clearly. And, you know, maybe they come to some understanding.
Maybe, because it's interesting where they've left Kim. Because the moment where Kwon starts putting the smackdown on Yoon and then Kim walks in, like, all concerned and whatever. They got to be careful because that feels a little bit shoehorned in versus the Kim that we just saw that was stamping on Tori's wrist. So they've got to earn that like a little bit, because it was almost like you've gone from this, like, and we've seen how, like, with Tori, they go from a Saturday morning cartoon villain to this incredibly developed character. But if they are to go that route with Kim, it'll be fascinating to see how, like, the dynamic between Tori and Kim and how, like, that works, especially when Kreese finds out, oh yeah, you pretty much damn near tortured her.
I honestly think Kreese will definitely go, I know you're not happy with her, but she is what we need. And I trust her.
Yeah.
And I think he'll basically say to Kim, like, fall in line with that. But at the same time, I can see
fall in line.
I can definitely see Kim. They could even do a U-turn. Maybe Kim starts to appreciate Tori as she didn't before.
Maybe.
And it could be that Tori was going through something that Kim went through when she was younger, but Kim never opened up about it.
Especially with the introduction of Master Kim, that does open that door.
I know this sounds crazy, but what if Kim is a reflection of if Tori doesn't have friends, doesn't have relationships, doesn't care about anything else other than karate? She might be a reflection of what Tori could become.
Do you want this as your future, Tori?
Do you want to be like Kim, or do you want to have family, friends?
The same way, hey, Robby, do you want to be like Kwon? Miguel, do you want to succumb to Axel? Like, Tori, do you want to be like Seth?
This is what I love about Cobra Kai. And again, if you're not that much of a big fan like us and you don't see this, characters that are more adult can sometimes reflect the kids' futures. So
if they're not careful.
Johnny did have a fucked up future because of Kreese, but he's not Kreese. They made that very clear.
Yeah,
but he could have easily been like him, and he kind of was with Miguel at first with the Cobra Kai stuff. But then he started to realize. So yeah, that's the thing about the show. They make you understand. Like, yeah, I feel like Tori's future could be Kim, but no, she could go the Amanda route, as season 4 showed. She could have that sense of humility and logic. Like, no, I got to actually chill out here. What am I doing?
And I think it's fascinating because I was saying this to the boys last couple of weeks. There's a part of me that feels like Cobra Kai isn't going anywhere, like the dojo, purely because you've introduced a whole other batch of dojo. Maybe Sensei Kim, like, you know, Kim Do-eun, decides to take it a different route. You know, maybe she's like, no, we're going to stop the teachings of my grandfather.
Sorry, I had to bring up this comment.
We've been doing this since day one.
Hello, Rashi. How you doing, buddy? Yeah, that that comment.
Do you know what? That's probably why we get put into the Miguel and Robby camp so much, is because, yeah, like I do Robby videos like no one's business, but you know, we will see my channel, but it doesn't mean just look like him. Doesn't mean I don't like make no mistake, people. I hated Robby when he first appeared in the show. I was like, get this 90s heartthrob out of here, please. I was
Oh,
like,
really?
yeah, like when he first appeared, I was like, oh, here we go. Here we go. They've introduced the love in. Oh, here we go.
I liked Robby. I think what annoyed me about him is it was kind of like, you know how Johnny and Ali were trying to resolve things, and Daniel was there.
And then Daniel gets in the way. Yeah, I felt like it was like, oh, here we go. Here we go.
I didn't hate Robby for straight up his character. I didn't.
No.
I only disliked like his circumstance, like the way where he is. It's like affecting something. Yeah. But only time I really didn't like him was when he fucked up again.
I watched it back and I'm like, his character's actually pretty legit, you know. Okay, fair. Other than the love drama, as soon as they got the love drama out the way, like then I was like, okay. Cool.
I think for me, it was definitely when he injured Miguel. That was when I was like, okay, Robby, you've gone way too far here, buddy.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. A lot of people have still never they've never, they're like the character's real. They've still never forgiven Robby for that, which is why, again, in my eyes, he hasn't redeemed himself yet, because he hasn't redeemed himself in the eyes of the casual fan.
Do you think he's... I know we don't... It's not about that anymore, but do you think there's going to be a moment in part 2 or part 3 where he actually apologizes to Miguel for some of the stuff
I would do it. Like, I mean, I know they had their conversation.
Not that they're trying to rehash, but just to bring everything together, you know?
Sometimes one of those things where, you know, Robby would say, look, I'm sorry. You know, I nearly killed you. Like, you know, maybe their conversation in season 5 was basically it. But I would like a scene of those two where just a Sam and Tori type of scene where Robby says, I'm sorry. God. Like, I almost killed you. And Miguel would be like, you know, and arguably Miguel's done less to Robby. He's just done more antagonizing than anything. But Miguel says, look, I'm sorry too. You tried to stop the school fight and I jumped the gun. And I jumped straight into conclusions and whatever. You know, things like that, you know, just where they have moments of conversation where Sam and Tori put their ego down and they go, you know what? I can see the other person's point of view here. I'm sorry. My bad. I'm sorry.
That's what I want this show to come full circle with, is that the kids really didn't understand each other at first. But at this point now, they've finally understood.
And they've experienced enough of the other person's world.
Exactly. And I think, like, you know, season 5, Miguel was on that lonely arc. Robby was on the Miguel arc in a way. I love that. So
it's beautiful.
In the way, like, between both of those characters, I think what they need to do, I know this is more like part 3 stuff, but there needs to be a conversation where, they talk about that stuff. Because I can see Robby saying to Miguel, like, no, I'm really sorry, Miguel. I could have taken away your future. You wouldn't have had college. You wouldn't have had this chance to be in the tournament. To do all this stuff. I nearly took that from you.
I nearly ruined my own future by taking away yours.
And then he says that. He says, I also nearly effed up my own life. Yeah. And I wouldn't have exactly
This is our chance to get, and this is why it should happen in tournament, actually. Just before either Robby fights Quan and or Miguel fights Axel, where it's like, okay, this is our chance to undo all of that right now. Right now, here and now. It's our chance to undo it. I'm going to go and deal with this guy over here, this you know, rich homie, and you're going to go and deal with this Drago knockoff. Like, you go and, you know.
I feel like they're gonna, this conversation they could have before they go to their fights is so like, it's like, you know, when Johnny and Daniel spoke before, like, you know, when Daniel said the one lesson I forgot Mr. Miyagi said is that one day it will be my own karate. And he said to Johnny, like, even he teaches stuff that helps the kids. Like, I really want there to be a moment with Miguel and Robby where it's like,
I think
everything you put me through made me who I am today, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And they both just appreciate, even though I can imagine maybe Miguel could make a joke like, yeah, I wouldn't have said kicking off the railing would have been on my bingo card. But, you know, like, just like a...
You could joke on that. It'd be like, yeah, kicking me over a railing wasn't your finest moment, was it? Nearly breaking my arm wasn't yours either. You know, it's stuff like that, you know, just making light-hearted nature of it. Because then it allows fans to go, okay, the characters have, you know, just
I just really want to hear like Miguel or Robbie. Like, I want Miguel to go up to Robbie and be like, "We got this, brother," and then they do the little
Yep.
embrace, and then they head to their fights basically, or
Mm.
whoever's fighting next. You know, so
I honestly, I can't wait, dude. There's so many minerals around these two. Like, you don't, for the people watching the show, you don't get these duos often. You really don't. You don't. Like, you really don't.
yeah.
Not anymore. Like nowadays, there's a resurgence in, like, you had it with Creed and Adonis Creed and Damien in Creed 3. You got bits and pieces here or there, but you don't get it often. Where characters like literally bounced off each other. In the way that these two do. And I think there's so much going for them and so much potential where you put these two on the same page, they're able to accomplish damn near anything.
Did you read that? That's
What?
definitely not him. That's not Kevin. Sorry. I'm just sorry. I was like, what the hell? Who the hell? I know that wasn't you, Kevin, because it was lowercase the name as well. So we said it, didn't we? We said it'd be one person with a comment, not throw us off. Oh man, you are on such a good point as well. I read that, and I'm like,
talk about timing.
Why would you comment that? I don't know if you boys or girls saw that comment, but it was not one you want to read out loud, but definitely surprised.
Holy Jesus.
Back to your brilliant point, because this stupid comment. All right, we'll move on from that comment. Yeah, the headband definitely suits Jacob. It's a good look.
Thank you. Hey, have you got your? Have you got yours?
Yeah, because if you're captain, let's get toxic in here. I'm also the captain. Hold on.
Let's get toxic in it. Hey, hang on. I'll take mine off quickly. We'll put it on together.
Yeah, get that off, Robbie. You don't deserve captain. Hold on. I'm trying to.
That's cap. All right.
Try to actually put this on.
Oh God. Oh Jesus.
Oh man, that was hilarious.
Oh man. There you go. Look at this. There you go. Dual captains. What the?
I might wear mine upside
down. I was till I put on the bandana.
I was thinking to put mine upside down. What did I just read?
I didn't expect that. That was too much. Oh man.
I will say this design, the design for the headbands,
it's so simple, but I like it.
It's such a cool look.
It's simple. That's what I like about it. It's not too much. It's just cool. There you go. Look at that. Look at that.
Look at that, son. I need to fin it up at the top.
Fist bump, sunshine. Fist bump. Fist bump. Other way.
We look so corny, but I love it.
We do. We do. I love it. I love it.
Oh, okay. This is Man. This is part of the inside the dojo video. I think the part when Miguel looks at Robbie is sneaky right before Quan. Yeah, because remember they look at each other,
dude.
And I think that's when one of them is drawn into a fight, and they kind of look at each other like, shit, they're gonna fight.
That's actually a good point, because if you look at the look of both characters, Miguel has a look of, you got this, go and take him out, and you got Robbie that looks concerned, like he's. Oh my God!
It's like they know something that no one else kind of does.
It's gonna be Daniel and Mike. Robbie's gonna be afraid. He's gonna be scared. Like, he's gonna be scared to face this guy. I think they're gonna go the route of fear.
Miguel, I'm about to face his mother.
I think they might go that route of where Robbie actually feels fear. Like, this is a guy that is dangerous, especially if they do something in the tournament where Quan takes out Dimitri or whoever, where it's like, because I think Dimitri's standing with them in that shot. But maybe there's a moment where they decide,
I gotta sort this out.
You got to go and face this guy, and they tap into that fear. It's really sort of pushing through the barriers of fear. And I'll use it as an example, but the Jaden Smith Karate Kid film, I really love the moment where Chong kicks the living daylights out of Jaden's leg.
Oh my God!
Dre gets
that was insane.
And fights.
How did he stand after that? I have no idea.
I want stuff like that, you know, where you get into the character's head. Because that's what I mean. We haven't had a Karate Kid 2 type fight. We haven't had a Mike versus Daniel type fight. Like, we've had moments where, like, Sam's had PTSD and things like that. We've touched upon it. But I want to see a moment in the tournament where Kwon's antagonizing Robbie the whole way. Like, the whole way. Pushing his buttons, antagonizing him. And for as much as Robbie has all these strengths and whatever else, it's like
it's so annoying with this long ass hair.
He very much has an element to him where you can rattle his cage if you know the buttons to push. And Kwon
He's gonna try that with the Tory stuff.
Figure, a very antagonistic figure, and he will push every single button.
100%.
Nuance.
I honestly think Kwon is gonna be like. I don't want him to be like, oh, look at this guy, he's got a gray side. No, I want him to be a full-on arsehole.
No, be an arsehole.
Like, go on, Kwon, be that guy. Be that guy.
Be that guy. You know,
be the disruptor. We need that.
Like, I want there to, as much as they'll give grade to Axel and Kwon, I want them to be unrelenting. I want them to be people we are clearly rooting against, where they are arseholes.
We need this. We need, because I said this before.
Not everyone is just because people have gray. Not everyone is good, people.
Because I think essentially, I think what it is. This is how I see it. So Kwon is basically chosen to the kids, and Axel might be like the Mike Barnes, prime Mike Barnes to. You know, like they have their versions of Daniel's Karate Kid villains, which is scary because these kids are like way more advanced.
Yeah.
So that's going to be something.
That's going to be interesting to see. I'm looking forward to that. I really am. Like, honestly, on God, it's going to be great because we're really about to go into a level of category which I don't think Cobra Kai has ever had. Where it's just maturity in terms of, like, you know how Harry Potter gets progressively darker as the movies progress? I want the same for this. Like, this isn't the All Valley. Like, oh my God. This isn't, don't read that comment, just delete it. This isn't the All Valley. I want there to be some serious maturity in this. Oh my God. Oh.
Sorry, but whoever made that account is a fool. But anyway, yeah, you were saying.
Yeah, I agree, Jim Tim. But essentially, completely lost my train of thought.
That's why I'm not reading these comments. I wanted to read some of the interesting ones, but yeah.
Oh man, like, but it is another 49 days or so till part 2 drops, so we're getting closer.
Yeah,
getting closer.
Which is really good. I'm having a minute. Which is really interesting in that way because I think it's crazy because I remember making a post and it was like 100 days to go. Now we're freaking
we're on 50. Time flies. So, I mean, enjoy the journey, people. When it's gone, it's gone. Well, for a while.
That's exactly why I'm telling people to stop finding these petty things about the show. Like, they better do this, they better do that. It doesn't matter. Like, this whole journey.
Like a Miguel Robby stream centric. I can't even watch any fight scene on YouTube without the top comment being some kind of division. You don't see one comment in there that says, "Oh, I'm happy that these boys are on the same page." Oh no, like, just
honestly, dude, I don't get it. Why are fans wanting to divide characters still? Same with Sam and Tori, even Johnny and Daniel. It's just like, stop dividing characters. As a fandom, the fandom needs to do better here. Stop dividing.
I agree. And especially
trying to understand other characters. Stop pitching on one that is like this. Like,
you can have a preference as to who you like. That's fine.
Yeah. Everyone relates to a character more, but don't be like. Some of these fans where they literally glaze a character to the point where.
Oh yeah, that's when they do glaze. Yeah.
You know, like. Where the
character can do no wrong.
The love for them is like they're so imperfect they've never done a bad thing. It's like, no, that's bollocks.
And they're not in the wrong.
You have to be balanced with this. Miguel's one of my favorites, but he's effed up in a lot of places. Same with Robbie. Same with Sam. Same with
Robbie's
Tori.
made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, but I don't go, oh, like we're in season 6 now. Both.
You would think
fucking-
after season 5, people would be a little bit more, you know, hey, these
Yeah.
guys are on this. Rewatch season 5, people.
Like Miguel and Robby are now stepbrothers. They're on the same page. They're fighting together in Miyagi-Do and the Sekai Taikai. They got all their friends
I mean, we're
beside
having
them,
moments.
the senseis. But somehow someone is gonna comment, "Oh, why did he hurt him in season 2?" That was season 2.
What did
We're in season 6, mofo. Like,
It
get
just
over it.
reminds me that people hold on to grudges and people just don't have an ability to let things go. And if the fans care more about the rivalries than the characters do.
Exactly. It's like the Messi
Johnny-
Ronaldo stuff.
Johnny is you. Johnny is you lot trying to get Sam and Tori to start beefing with each other again. And they're like, what is this spiel? Like, no. You know, that's what that is. It was calling out people that want the constant petty drama to continue.
Why do people want the drama though? I don't get that.
I don't know. I really don't know. And I'm sure you've had this too, where like nothing is ever good enough for either camp. Like if I did a video on Robby talking about him and the nuances of his character arc, but what about Miguel? And then I do a video talking about Miguel, but what about Hawk? It's like
always happens.
You can't win. Like you just can't. Like you. And then the thing is, you try and give a story reason, and people fall back into the camp this, camp that, team this, team that. When in actuality,
Miyagi-Do, that's why we support him.
Like I get that it's a fighting show. But if there's one thing you can do, and I've got a video talking about this too as well. I know we've had conversations about this particular thing where men's mental health and their journey, and you could say the same for like Sam and Tori, but with Robby and Miguel, it's two different approaches to how you develop through life as a man. Do you go through the balanced route of, you know, not letting, like, let's say, for instance, Robby, not letting the anger consume you, not letting the past define you. When you center yourself, you can make your life whatever you want it to be. You can take Miguel's route, grab the life by the horns, own it, and say, you know what? No, I am what I carve for myself. I am more. You know, things like that. And this is where the teachings come into it. Miyagi-Do is all about like meditation and balance and centering yourself. Cobra Kai gives you and discipline. Cobra Kai gives you discipline, but in a different way, allows you to stand up for yourself, have self-respect, stand up for other people. You know, you learn both of these things through both dojos, you know, and it's such an important story that we need now more than ever. So when people call it a cheesy, corny show, I hate that, because yeah, it is in some way, shape or form. And that's why we love it. But there's so much stuff in there. And the reason why a lot of teenagers watch this is I would love to be a teenager right now growing up with this show, to look at a character like Robby, who I relate to, and go the other way, the same way he did from Trey and Cruz. Or look at Miguel, the same way, you know, he had a setback. He thought his life was done and he overcame the odds. You know, it inspires so many people. It's that kind of stuff that I think I want people to appreciate more, especially in season 6. It's done after this, you know, for a while at least. Like, it's done. Like, come on, you know. That was a passionate rant. I had to get out my system. Oh my God.
It's true. Like, I couldn't agree more, man. And I just don't get we're at a point in the show. If you really care more about the teen drama, go watch something else.
Yeah, that's not what Karate Kid's about.
Teen drama's part of it.
It's part of it.
It's not the thing you're watching the show for.
And this is why I have to question
create the story.
The people who have watched the original trilogy, like we have. There's a difference between watching it and growing up with it. Now, we watched it as kids. Now, we didn't grow up in the 80s, but we watched it as we grew up. So we watched it on repeat with like our mom or whoever as we grew up. And then we got Cobra Kai. A lot of people now go back and watch it because of Cobra Kai, and they miss all of the themes of the whole show. Like, it's like, oh, how did you call that Robby was going to redeem Jacob? Because it's in the original. How did you call that Miguel was going to, because it's in the original? How did you call that Hawk was, it's in the original? It's right there. Like, it's right there in those 3 films. Everything you want is in those 3 films.
Exactly. You gotta
That's why the show's so
stop
good.
seeking for the surface.
Yeah, it's consistency.
Kevin, pretty much, yeah. If they want to do drama, and yeah, exactly that. Thenora, it's good to hear from you, buddy. Yeah, pretty much me and Jacob actually participated in the Sekai Taikai. That's how we got.
We did. We can officially confirm we did participate in the Sekai Taikai. You know that we are of the United Kingdom dojo.
Yeah, and we can't say if we kick ass or not in the tournament.
Yeah, all we can disclose is it's a chosen nation kind of event.
But no, for real, we got them from Etsy.
We got them from Etsy.
But no, before we finish this, like, if there's any burning questions you have for the last 5 minutes, we'll go through your questions.
Love, people.
And yeah, hit the like button if you haven't already. So me and Jacob will go through some last questions. It can be other than Miguel and Robby or
anything.
Part 3 stuff. You want to talk about what you want to see in Part 2 with Miguel and Robby, the Sekai Taikai, whatever
Robby
you
brings
want.
Out a lightsaber and just goes.
Man, he just does that to Quan.
Yeah, it's like, you know what? The solution isn't fighting a wand against Voldemort. Just get a gun.
Oh. Wait, do you mean this metaphorically? Like
I hope
Miyagi
it means metaphorically.
Yeah. Because I'm not. We're not. Yeah, I don't know how to go about this. Because metaphorically, are you saying like Quan is like Mr. Miyagi to the kids, as in he's like the dark side of Miyagi? If you mean
like
it in that sense,
a reincarnation in the sense of a manifestation of what Miyagi was back in the day.
Exactly. Because holy shit, if that's what Miyagi was like back in the day, the kids would like, nah.
Oh, and that's interesting. I want to see what they'll do with that.
That's something we will definitely talk about. We'll definitely talk about that on another stream because that is like a whole thing in itself. Mr. Miyagi and the Sekai Taikai.
Oh, we can touch on the Daniel Glazing phenomenon.
Oh my god, I still haven't even talked about that. I really want to talk about. I mean, okay, I'm going to ask you this. Do you think we're going to see a flashback to Miyagi in that tournament? Because I think we should see something.
I think we will. It's the only character we haven't seen a flashback of. Like, I know he was in Part 2 as like a figure like this, and you see over the shoulder. But I think we haven't seen a Kree Silver style flashback for him, and I think it's because they've been saving it.
Ooh, I agree.
And there's no better time to do it. No better time. And imagine this. You see that scene, and the reason the blood was on the headband, whatever the flashback reveals, it's just before Robby fights Quan, just before Miguel fights Axel, raises the stakes, and you're like, oh dear.
That's going to put you at, like, you're going to feel more tense watching each fight after seeing that.
Raises the stakes. Heartbreaking to watch, but raises the stakes.
Yeah, for sure. And this is already setting up a Miyagi prequel story because you don't introduce something that big and not go more into it.
Yeah, there will be a Miyagi prequel. I have a funny feeling
that's what they're going to announce.
They'll probably do. I think they'll do 4. So like before they pick up the show again for season 7, like 8 years down the road, they'll have spin-offs in between to fill the gaps. So you have a Binary Brothers thing with Hawk and Dimitri just because by popular demand. You've got Miyagi and his prequel, something to do with Chosen maybe, and I think something to do with Quan. I think those 4. They'll save Miguel and Robby for a bit because they're the draw.
I like this comment. I want to see the boys go crazy in street fights. Yes. Miguel, Robby, Hawk, Dimitri as well. I want them. Kenny as well. I want him to get that. Oh my god! Could you imagine that? That like those 5 or okay, if the Pusso's there as well, that's 6. But if all of them are like fighting together, like maybe they're fighting like some of the Cobras or some other characters, that would be pretty crazy.
Oh, there we go. We got some clarity there from the Quan comments. So that's good. But yeah, the street fights are going to go hard. I think they're going to go all in this one. Especially because
I like that. He's not Okinawan karate though.
No.
He's obviously like Quan's style
is more his own.
It's like Taekwondo basically. Like that's the style they've got with
it's
him.
It's more an aggressive form of Taekwondo that's his own.
What do you think about Miguel and Tori's relationship? Okay, so we haven't had these 2 characters have a one-to-one moment in season 3. And I'm very surprised at that.
I think
Sam and
one
Robbie
scene I
got their
liked,
like scene
they
in
got their
season
little
5.
moments.
But
I
why
think one
haven't
thing I
Miguel and
liked from
Tori?
season 5 was on that is the moment where Miguel says to Sam, you know, you have no idea what it's like to be in Cobra Kai, blah 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 blah. It gives a bit of that thing, and that's also something that could come full circle for Miguel when he's talking to Robbie. He could say, "Look, I get it. Tori's been through a lot of stuff. I understand. Like, I get it." There could be a moment of conversation like that, you know.
I think they just need to sort of like Miguel should talk to Tori about the Cobra Kai stuff. They need a moment like that. That would be quite interesting.
Tori needs to know that people have got her. She's not used to people sticking around.
I think when Tori sees how many of the Miyagi-Dos, like all the guys that care about her being in that dojo, it's gonna really enlighten her, but make her go, "Wow, like they really cared about me leaving. I didn't see that initially, but they cared." Like they need to show that.
Yeah, got to show us it.
Yo, Yoon is an honorable person. He got to like help one of the Miyagi-Dos in Street Fight, right?
No, I don't see it.
I think Yoon, he is probably like the Bobby of the Korean Cobra Kais, but I still feel like he would go through with stuff because he's supposed to be like full on no mercy at this point.
He is full on Korean Cobra Kai, but in his own way, not like one. And the difference there,
he's got honor.
Yoon. They're on the same team, but they're not united. Miguel and Robby are. So take it home.
I think Stingray spinoff. Did you see the Cobra Kai channel on YouTube? What they posted for Stingray? It was quite funny. I saw it earlier on.
I have to check it out.
John Hurwitz did say this. Dimitri will shine like a diamond in the season, but we know Khan will get it.
Yeah. Ouch.
My God, I'm not gonna lie though. But
Dimitri
the one thing we've never seen in a tournament is someone being knocked out. Who do you think will be knocked out in a fight? Because I think wouldn't be surprised if it was Dimitri.
I think Dimitri is one, but I was saying that Dimitri is one of a few. I think Dimitri's not the only one. I think Dimitri is the obvious one, and that gives Hawk the fuel to go and knock out Yoon or whoever. But I think Devon is also another one.
Ooh.
Because I know someone did say to me, maybe Devon bows out of shame or whatever, which would be honorable. But
she's definitely gonna tell Kenny. I think she's gonna let Kenny.
She will do that. But I think with regards to Tori and the Robbie Kenny thing that they did in this one, what if it's Tori watching Devon get knocked out and it reminds her of her like talking and having that bond and that connection? All these things that chip away at Tori. I think Devon from this point forward is basically a plot device for Tori.
I think Devon's. I think I would love to. I would really appreciate for her character's arc, or just her as a character, if she. It parallels Chosen's lesson of honor to Tori in Cobra Kai in season 5. I think they need to do this with Devon because Devon's always looked up to Tori. She wants to be like Tori in a way. She wants to be herself, but I think Devon honoring something that Tori would do says a lot about Devon and her relationship with Tori. Yeah, because she wants to replicate that, and I think she needs to have that conversation with Kenny. Like, it's my fault.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this as well.
Imagine that happens just before she gets knocked out.
That would be pretty crazy.
Ouch.
What if, that would be pretty harsh on her, but what if Kenny... Okay, this would be funny, because, those, like, Anthony, Kenny, and Devon are like a new trio.
Yeah,
I'm not saying they're a love triangle, but
they're just a new trio.
What if Kenny's like... What if Kenny says, like, he likes Devon or something?
Oh, God.
And Devon sort of like tells him, she's about to tell him this stuff about, what happened. And he's like, I have something to tell you as well. I can imagine like his reaction going, you what?
You what? Oh, not anymore. I don't like you anymore.
I'm leaving.
I'm a head out.
Oh, man, that'd be crazy. I don't think Axel's going to be a nice guy. He could be misunderstood, but I don't want him to be like... I want everybody to treat him like
a villain.
Like they want to beat this guy.
Like, you can give him some gray, but I don't want not the kind of gray that we're accustomed to. I want that 80s good guy, bad guy. I don't want morally.
I want the Drago. I want the Drago thing with him.
Yeah, like you can do morally conflicted in a future story. As of right now, I want there to be clear good guys. These are the bad guys. That's what we're fighting against.
That's what we need right now.
There's too much gray in Cobra Kai. That's why people
at this point we needed black and white. We needed to return to that.
There's so much gray in this show, especially this is why people are always Team Miguel or Team Robby, because there's so much gray. There's not a clear distinction on who's who. Right now, there needs to be a clear distinction.
I'm just trying to think. You know that scene? You know the footage in Barcelona, right? Yeah. You know the footage in Barcelona with Sam and this actual character. I will put it out there. I think, what if they go the route where Sam sees a different side to him, but everybody else,
everyone else sees something different,
and that could work. I would love this arc for Sam, because she's becoming more mature now. Yeah. What if she doesn't judge the guy like she judged Tori when she first met her? But she's also
tries a different approach. No, I see
she tries a different approach with her character growth, but she doesn't see what everyone else does because she hasn't seen that. Right. And maybe what if like he saves Sam in a fight or something?
Yeah, that could happen. I mean, even then,
we're all like, this guy is an A, but
he's still an asshole. Like you can still go that route if he does one good thing for Sam, but to everyone else, he is an art. And make no mistake, he is a bad guy. But because she, is going like, I've made that mistake with Tori. I'm not going to judge a book by its cover. It shows that sometimes, even though you think a person is good, sometimes the opposite is true too. And the minute Axel does something against whoever, Sam would be like, oh my God, I put stock into this.
I think this is the growth of Sam. Like she hasn't judged,
like a Rocky 5 situation with what's his face?
Tommy Gunn.
Tommy Gunn, yeah.
Oh, that could be interesting. Here's the thing. I think also Miguel is definitely going to have a problem with this guy because if he tries to make a move on Sam, he's going to Miguel. I don't think Miguel at this point in the stories, especially how he's matured, I don't think he's going to lash out and be like, what the fuck? I do feel like
not straight
he's going to be like, so this guy tried to make a move on you, Sam? And what if Axel just has a problem with Miguel? Like, oh, she has a boyfriend. Like, I like this girl.
It puts him in the Robby position. Like, because they're both on. So Axel's in the Miguel position. Miguel's in the Robby position. It flips it.
Yeah, what if they do that?
That could be unique. I wouldn't be up for that.
But what if, like, he has such an issue with Miguel just because he's with Sam?
Yeah, and Miguel
it makes him the asshole. Like, look at him. He's just a prick.
Because he's arguably, as I've said, the most grown in terms of mentality of the teens. So he won't judge Axel straight away. He'd be like, and then Axel, being the guy that he is going to push him. He's going to prod him. He's going to push him. And Miguel's going to be like, hey, look, no, like, there's always two sides to everything. I'm giving you an opportunity here. Why'd you keep pushing me? Like, and then
I can see that.
I think Axel will Sam will know. I think Axel will create Prime. He'll create Darkseid Miguel again. Axel will do that.
I think he's gonna
R.I.P.
Here's the thing as well. If this ties into the theory of the whole Rocky Apollo thing with Miguel and Robby, if Axel hurts one of them, the other is gonna cook his ass. He's gonna feel the fury.
If Axel is to hurt Robby, then you know what Miguel's gonna do. R.I.P. Axel.
Oh my God.
Rest in peace.
I think the Quan and Robby stuff feels like it's being set up because of Cobra Kai with Tori and all that.
Yep, but it's not the only thing.
Robby's like anger for Cobra Kai, like going against them, is there. And with Miguel, I feel like
keep it personal.
Someone's trying to go for it's the Adrian thing again. Rocky and Adrian, Drago. The stakes are going to be even more crazy for both. I feel like part 2, we'll definitely end with this. Part 2 is going to give more stakes for both characters. There's going to be so much more going on.
This could be an outside the tournament thing just to end on. This would hurt, and I don't know if they would do it, but what if Robby sacrifices himself for Miguel against Axel in some way, shape, or form outside the tournament? Like outside the tournament.
This is interesting. What if they know they can't beat Axel? He's that hard to fight. That Robby's like, I'm gonna like try and put like not like they're trying to be Cobra Kai. Like let's put him out of commission.
They've got to think smart.
What if he goes? If I make the sacrifice now, you'll be able to beat him. Because what if he uses the silver bullet or a technique that weakens Axel? This might go a bit silly, but what if Robby?
If you do it the right way, it can work.
What if Robby essentially does that? to
You know,
Axel,
like
and
that
then
scene in Harry Potter where Ron's on the knight and he's like, you know, not me, not Hermione, you. And he makes the sacrifice play so it sets Harry up for the win.
if Robby does that, that also is such a great way of bringing him
There's a redemption.
Miguel's, yeah, because that redemption's there.
Now, any person that hates Robbie's guts, oh, you'd be lying if you said you wouldn't be crying at that. That boy would get hurt. Like that.
I'm
That
not
would be
gonna lie,
hard.
I'm gonna
That would
be
be hard
sad
to watch.
if Robby gets hurt. I'm gonna definitely shed a tear, especially how they do it.
That would be hard to watch,
especially if he knows it's gonna happen because he wants to do this for like Miguel or
imagine
one
the
of the
effect that will
guys.
have on Kenny.
Dude, Kenny is gonna. I think if anything happens to Robby in the tournament or outside,
Yep.
Kenny, Miguel, or Johnny are gonna be the first ones to run to him, or Daniel.
I mean, imagine a situation where if Dimitri and Robbie and Devon, like they're the injured ones of this tournament, and then there's a fight outside post-tournament, like after some time, then Robbie walks up limping, comes into shot, bang, kicks him right off Miguel. The same way Miguel saved Robbie in season 5.
Oh my god, dude.
He's like, I may have one arm, but no, we're doing this.
I just really feel like Robbie's gonna save someone's life. It could be one of the kids, could be Miguel. I mean, I just feel like he's got this like his instinct to save someone.
Yeah.
I just feel like he's got something there.
It's there.
Because
that's what I mean. If Miguel is the sole champion and Robbie doesn't win the Sekai Taikai, it's very likely he could save someone's life.
I would love to see
the same way Miyagi spared Kreese, it comes a full thing with Robbie saving someone else.
It's got they've got to do something like that.
Like you want to be careful not to go too on the nose, but maybe Miguel's in a situation where outside the tournament, Axel's like bang, 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 and then Robbie just comes in, bang.
Because if Axel's that dirty, and
he will
again, my theory, if he is a hired gun by Silver, what are the odds on Silver going, I want you to hurt these boys?
You know damn well that the personal beef between, like, obviously he'll look at Miguel as the chosen
Silver would do that,
but he'll look at Robbie as the one that cost him the thing in the first place. One of the other people that drove a wedge between him and Kreese. He said he was going to take care of Lawrence. He never specified which one, and it was personal between Silver and Robbie twice. So it's like,
dude, I think Silver. I know it's.
I think Robbie's got all targets pointing right at him.
I know he's got like I know it's a kid at the end of the day. Silver's probably not going to try and go there, but knowing Silver now, he might go back to that. Maybe he goes, you know what? I need to bring that back.
Yeah,
because some of these kids are out of line.
He doesn't like the fact that not only is Robbie reminding him of what Daniel did to him, but worse, this man walked into his dojo and said,
I still love that scene. That's one of my favorite scenes I've ever seen with Robbie.
He's going to take it personally, like, hey, excuse me. And then also, he looks at Johnny as the wedge between him and Kreese. What's the way to get to Johnny?
Exactly.
Down there.
Yeah.
That's cold.
I definitely... Oh, we're definitely not sleeping on Hawk. We're just emphasizing...
Oh, no, never.
I will say this, though. I don't... Personally, for me, I understand what they're doing with the story with part 1, but I don't like how they've kind of... I don't like using the term nerf, but I do get it with part 1.
I get what people mean. Like when they say nerfed, it's like a simplified way.
I want Hawk to be that badass. I really don't want that.
This is the thing, bro. Like, I love Robbie to pieces, but both Miguel and Hawk, for me, like both of them, I want some of that season 1 Miguel and Hawk back. You know what I mean? Like the edge. Like, I want that back.
I agree. You know? Yeah.
I want that edge. Not season 3 Hawk. That was too much. But I want that season 1.
If season 3 Hawk like went and like beat someone in the tournament like that, oh my god.
I mean, Jacob did say he gets a moment, so ultimately Dimitri's going to get his ass caffed, and then what's going to happen is Hawk will avenge him.
I honestly hope they do that with Eli and Hawk. I mean, Hawk and Dimitri. They both characters deserve.
They did put this out there as well. Like, you don't disqualify Hawk carelessly, but maybe Hawk disqualifies himself on purpose by doing something that he needs to do to ensure victory. Maybe they do something cold and underhanded to Dimitri, and he's like, all right, an eye for an eye. I'll go back to my roots quickly. Head off.
It's going to be tense in between. I'm going to say this. One thing that could affect the fights.
Yeah.
I honestly feel like Eli and Dimitri's beef right now, that could really cost them in the earlier stages of the the Sekai Taikai, because
Yeah,
they're not on the same page right now and they're still bickering and stuff. So I feel like the kids are gonna be like, you guys got to reel it back.
You guys have got to sort it out. Like
it's not
6
just about
seasons
MIT.
in, and I also had this, but like if Dimitri gets injured in the tournament, don't have him come back till part 3. Give it a bit of time, a bit of breathing room.
I agree.
Give it a bit of breathing room. But maybe there could be a moment where they make up beforehand.
They've got to have a conversation. I think all the kids have to. There's got to be a locker room talk.
It's like RJ. RJ said it best. None of the kids right now are fighting for each other. They're fighting for themselves.
I agree. But the one thing that's going to bring them together is something during the tournament that develops. And that's how they know, damn, we're going to win this thing. We're going to go all the way.
Yeah. Like, stop arguing with each other. Like, now, I guess.
I think it's unrealistic for them to just go into this tournament. Everything's all fine. Things are going to crop up. The stuff with Tori and Cobra Kai is definitely going to throw them off. And I think that's going to be the catalyst at sort of distracting them at first.
Yeah.
I think halfway through part 2, the 2 characters I said, and you said, Miguel and Robby are going to be so important for them. Yeah. Robbie's got to be on his game as the captain. Miguel has to make sure that he is being the captain. Yeah. And they both are, helping the team because they're leaders.
It falls back onto them two. Like, it's not me ignoring Hawk or anything else, but it falls back onto those two. They are the next regen of Karate Kids. Like, it falls back onto them two because right now they may be the last 2 standing.
Exactly that.
It comes down to them.
I will finish off with Clifford Super Chat. Thank you so much, Clifford. Do you think the double leg kick before my Robby is a good counter to Quan's high kick? Well,
maybe not at the same time.
I don't think if they bring that back, I wouldn't mind them doing that in the street fight. But that's a kick that Mr. Miyagi couldn't do. Daniel couldn't even do. Robby did it though.
Just imagine a scenario if Robby's arm gets busted by Quan or something, and he's relying on one arm.
I can imagine if Robby beats. This is what I'd love to see, that raw sort of. If like they do have like shit, my arm's like really in now, but they adapt with that. If they can adapt through the pain.
No Miyagi magic. No Miyagi magic.
This is the kids making a statement with their toughness. They like what if one of them does? One of them does have a sprained hand. Okay, I'm gonna bandage up. I'm gonna keep going. Yeah,
like that level of maturity is so powerful. Like I've been a huge advocate. As much as I love Miyagi's, keep that for Miyagi. Never go into it. Never use it again. Keep that for him. Keep it special. For the kids right now, no Miyagi magic, no substitutions. Right, okay. Like Miguel lifts his arm up, says, "Oi, bandage up. Get out there. Get out."
That's it. But I would love to see it again, but I think I don't think they'll do it in the tournament. I think it's...
Anything they use, they have to earn.
It's going to be a tough fight with Quan. I don't think it's a gimmicky kind of fight. You have to beat him with straight up good hits.
Fights aren't going to be played for laughs either. Like, not that the All Valley or whatever has had fights for laughs, but they've been more lighthearted. These right here are brutal. Like, there's no... Yeah, these kids could die. Like, it's no.
Okay, I want to ask you this. Could you imagine how Robby wins that fight with Quan? Or how Miguel wins it with Axel? Like, what do you think will be the finishing move for Robby and Quan? I want to ask you that.
I want Miguel to use his kick that he used in Season 3's Coma Dream. I want that one.
Dude, that kick is bad.
I want that one. Take his head clean off his shoulders.
Oh my god, dude. And it does sort of... It's kind of a reflection of what Quan says about the high kick.
Yeah.
Kick to head.
Just go straight for the head. Straight for the head. Take him out.
If Robby does like a... Oh my god, dude. Okay. I would love to see Robby.
Robby's got a lot of flips and athleticism.
Dude, if he does like a fucking jump kick or flying kick, imagine that.
Dude, imagine like the Jaden Smith one.
Imagine he kicks Quan in the face and knocks him out.
Yeah, just go straight for the head. Okay.
If Robby knocks him out like cold and Quan didn't see it coming, dude, that would be so I will be on my feet like I'm there. I would be so hyped. I would be
screaming. I'll be like, "Hey, yo, I'm here. I'm here. Hey, Quan, you wanted it. You got it. You wanted it." Like, I mean, there could be a moment where it's like, what if he does a reverse type of crane kick where he goes to do a crane kick but his own variation? Like, he doesn't do the crane kick. He does like like Jaden Smith had his own one. He baits Quan with a move, does a flip.
What? what if he baits Quan
I would love that.
into like, what if he baits Quan? He like does the crane kick or in the position, goes down.
Yeah.
Instead of jumping to kick, he turns and jumps, and then he kicks Quan in the face.
Oh.
But he doesn't do a crane kick. He just sort of transitions into a normal like
Yeah,
high
like
kick.
a normal high kick, something like that.
That'd be cold.
That would be cold.
He's using the crane kick to deceive. That would be interesting.
It's a nice little neat callback, but it's his own spin on things, and it shows Mr. Daniel LaRusso over there. Hey, these guys.
I wouldn't mind like if the kids have their own finishing move in their own way, though. Like, dude, I would love to see Robby do like crazy
characters. Make it happen.
Please do it. They need to do it. They need to do it.
I mean,
the games we've had.
I mean, Kenny has a finishing move with the silver bullet. Like,
I mean, that's his gimmick. He loves.
He doesn't need any other finishing move. He's got one that can kill you. Like, that's it. And Hawk, I guess, is his tornado kick, if you will, which is lethal. But yeah, I would like Robby to have that kind of moment. Like, I think the fights are perfectly matched up. You've got Brandon, Lee, and Tanner that are going to probably have arguably the Anakin Obi fight of the entire show.
I've heard that Brandon, because I spoke to the stunt and fight coordinator, they said Brandon really made it more competitive for the actors, and Tanner and Brandon bring their freaking A game, dude. Like they really like Tanner's the kind of guy like he wants to do his absolute best as an actor, and he takes his martial arts very seriously.
Dude, that fight scene's gonna go hard.
When he meets someone like Brandon, they were saying like they could feel that energy of him, that he is ready and locked in to work with someone like that.
That's why that fight's got to be them too, man. It has to be.
They've definitely got to fight, dude. They've definitely got to fight.
Yeah. And then with like Miguel and Axel, it's like a beast versus beast situation. You know, no matter how many times you get knocked down, get back up. It's more of like
I really want that fight to be such an underdog fight, but
brutal.
I do hope I hope it's so bloody. Like I want there to be a moment though where like Miguel knocks like he does something to knock Axel on his knees, let's say, and then he has the Goblin Tom Holland moment. Maybe he's like, yeah.
I've said it from day one, and I know you said it too. Miguel hasn't had a Robby versus Johnny moment. He hasn't had a moment where like he's only flirted with the dark side. He's never gone all in. Just imagine him 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
The closest he's been to that was season 2, but
Daniel
even then,
remember Karate Kid 2?
Dude, I hope he gets that. I really hope he gets that.
Like, and then maybe because he's a taller guy and he's 6'5", what do they always say to you? Well, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. Go for his legs. Yeah. What's Miguel's strength? His kicks.
Do you know why I also get excited at this like theory of this fight happening? It reminds me of Cap fighting Thanos, low key. In the sense of he's fighting someone so much bigger than him. He's not fighting like here. He's fucking punching up here.
Punching up
above him. Like he's punching uppercuts are gonna be harder. Like when he was fighting Thanos, he was so like,
and there's
Thanos
no
was just a
better
brute,
sensei for either of the characters right now than the ones they started with. Like Robby needs Daniel because he's fighting against someone that's gonna get in there and mess with his head. And then Miguel's fighting against someone where Johnny's gonna say, hey, listen, you're a Rocky's guy. I showed you all these movies. What did Rocky do against Drago? Come on. Stuff like that. Brings it to season 1.
Absolutely love it. So
beautiful.
We'll wrap it up there. Jacob, it's always great talking to you about Miguel.
No, and also, you know, give this guy make sure you smash that like button, people. Get him to 100K, and you see the Miguel and Robby, like we called it ages ago. You know, just saying. Just saying. Sure. And there was all these TikTok edits the next day.
Yeah, exactly. Jacob, where can everybody find you? The Chosen One, your socials?
Yeah, you can find me at The Chosen One. I'm sure I'll pop up on the suggestions somewhere, but if you're struggling to find me, just type in Chosen One Cobra Kai, or just any Robby video. Any Robby video on the interweb. I'm sure you'll find myself there somewhere. You'll find me somewhere. You'll find me some way, somehow.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Another Robby.
But yeah, check out Jacob. He does a lot of great videos on Cobra Kai analysis, and he knows his stuff. And yeah, we'll definitely do another stream soon together. We
Yeah,
can
we
definitely
got a
talk
lot more to
about
talk about as well. Even outside of
Miyagi
Miguel and Robby,
and
there's Miyagi, there's Kreese and Silver. You know,
we might have to do a Crease and Silver one. I saw someone's comment about that. I think we'll
yeah,
leave that for
that,
another
that
time.
requires a great deal of thought. I would have to think about that a lot because we have very little
There's
info
so
on that one.
much.
There's so many
Absolutely so
variables.
Another Robbie video. Thank
If
you
I
guys
meet-
for tuning
I mean,
in.
Tanner, I'm paying him to say that.
Next week. Yes.
Next
Yes.
week.
Yes, you are doing that. We gotta do that. You gotta ask him. You gotta ask
Like,
him.
Tanner, please say it.
Oh my god, I can't wait. To see
Imagine
that.
if he says, "Man, I was saying it every time I watched those videos." Like, boom.
Oh my god, I didn't even know this.
Oh wow. Oh yeah, I realized that with
StreamYard.
StreamYard the other day. They've added that now.
Ah, interesting. But I feel like this will work nicely for.
I feel like we're at a character
certain overlays.
select your fighter screen. It's like choose your fighter.
I should have had this earlier on, but no, I had to play around with that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
guys,
thanks
if
for
you
having me again, man.
no, of course. So again, guys, if you haven't subscribed to Jacob, check out the Chosen One, his channel, his socials. He's on Instagram as well. If you haven't subscribed to Cobra Kai Nation, do it now. Subscribe.
Right now.
I'm on Instagram as well, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any more videos, streams, interviews. We've got so much coming up, and we've got some cool stuff coming up next week with Comic Con Scotland. So probably have to do a bigger announcement for that. But expect loads of content from that as well. There'll be loads of cool stuff coming up. But yeah, we're gonna sign out. How do you want to sign this out?
Oof, it's great. Just when life gets tough, always remember.
Just always remember this quote.
I'm coming for you, bitch.
I was so waiting for that. Okay, no, this is
RJ's gonna love that. It's just the way she gets it over her shoulder and like hobbles like this, like a rap video. It just.
Okay, no, this is how we're gonna sign this out. Okay.
Like my man Miguel over here.
Oh right. My bad.
Okay, thank you guys for tuning in. We will see you later.